All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you're new. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed that intro. That intro got me pumped. I don't know about you, but yeah, I'm pumped to talk about Xbox's upcoming funeral. I kid. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but yes, we have to continue this conversation today. I think it's totally necessary because now we have to kind of enter from the angle of, okay, the damage control begins, right? At least that's the assumption. Maybe there won't be any damage control. Worst case scenario for some people, there is no damage control. Best case scenario for some people, there is, right? But yeah, we have a lot to discuss today. Microsoft has confirmed their upcoming business update, and get this. See, this is the part I love. Not only are we getting what Microsoft is calling a business update, because that just gets the fan base excited, right? It's coming in the form of a podcast featuring Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and good old Matt Booty. Wow. I mean, let me tell you, of all the ways Microsoft could have handled this, this is a way that they decided to handle it, and I'm here for it, man. I'm really interested to see, like, how long is this podcast going to be? Does anybody know? Really quick, actually not really quick. I got to shine a spotlight here on Laurent and Jake Skew, both coming in, starting off the membership train strong. Laurent drops a 5-bomb on you guys, and Jake Skew comes in and drops a membership gift of his own. Already 6 members gifted. So Laurent, Jake Skew, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate the continued support you show me as well as the community. Means a lot, guys. It really does. So yeah, just a heads up, we will be doing a members lounge today. And so before I get deeper into this conversation with you guys, just want to give a shout out to everybody watching. If you're here watching live, thank you so much. If you can't catch the streams live and you watch them later on, shout out to you as well. Really appreciate that. Make sure you utilize the timestamps that Devil Shooter does. He works really hard on them. Do me a favor, guys. We have almost 300 people here watching already, which is awesome. Hit that like button for me. We're sitting at over 70 likes. Let's see if we can get 100 likes. I think we could get to 150 likes very easily. Not only does it let me know you guys enjoy the content, but more importantly, it spreads the channel out there, right? That's a weird way of saying that, but it does. It gets the content in front of new people's faces, in front of their eyes, and they can click on it and they can decide if they enjoy our community, if they enjoy it here, and they want to stick around our channel, or I say our channel, because really the channel would be nothing without you. It has been growing lately. I'm sure you've noticed. And so we are bringing on new people, hopefully, like-minded people that want to talk gaming and have these conversations. So yeah, just hit that like button for me. 3 ways you can support my content directly, okay? The first is consider becoming a channel member. You gain access to exclusive benefits and perks. The main one being you gain access to the Members Lounge. We will be doing a Members Lounge after today's stream. So if you are a channel member, I hope to see you there. If you're not, please consider becoming one and joining us. If you're already a channel member, consider gifting channel memberships. It's a big thing we do here. We have an amazing community, a very generous community. A lot of people have had memberships for a long time, thanks to those individuals doling out membership gifts. And I know they really appreciate it. I see people thanking community members here all the time for gifting those memberships. And last but not least, please consider donating a super chat. Ask a question, give an opinion, make a statement. Just don't get too crazy with it, right? I mean, there are limits here, but it all helps, man. So yeah, just want to make sure before I dive into any conversations here on the channel that I give you guys the big thank you and shout out you deserve, because without your support, truth be told, I just wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to host these streams, and it's a privilege to be able to do so. So thank you guys. With that being said, though, yes, we have the Microsoft business update. This, highly anticipated. God, I can only imagine what's going to be said. We have Matt Fu. Our good friend Matt Fu coming in. He wants to keep the membership train going. He wants to pay some membership gifts forward. He drops another 5-bomb on this community, bringing us up to 11 members on the day. Matt, thank you so much, man. I've been seeing you out here gifting a lot of memberships, and definitely very much appreciate it, my friend. So good stuff. Let me add that to the counter. Quick question for you guys. On a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being, nah, it's not really going to be a thing. 10 being, it's going to be off the charts, like nothing we've ever seen. What is the damage control level going to look like during this upcoming business update? That's a serious question. I know a lot of people are maybe automatically going to answer 10, but really think about that. They're calling it a business update. How much damage control can you really do in a business update? Somebody says 19. I can only assume you meant to type in a 0 there. Seeing a 5, a 7, a 6. Somebody says 11. Interesting. Haven't seen anything lower than a 5. Well, actually, no. There's somebody there saying 0. See, that to me, I would love if that was the case. That would be the best case scenario. I mean, if we got a business update podcast with Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and Sarah Bond with 0 damage control, oh my God, that would be the most brutally honest podcast from business executives. See, even that alone, business executives hosting a podcast sounds so weird. That would be the most brutally honest thing we ever witness. I would love to see that. No damage control needed. I think that's where you're wrong. Maybe you're wrong. I don't want to say for sure you're wrong, but I feel like there has to be some damage control. Like I just can't imagine a scenario where the Microsoft, PR team and marketing team is like, oh, don't worry, you guys don't have to damage control anything. Everything's fine. Like, I don't think so. But that'd be cool. That would be cool because that means they could just shoot from the hip. Just tell us how it is, man. Just tell us how it is. And we got our man Hellbound 1981, another legend coming in, dropping 5 more membership gifts for you guys. You're keeping it rolling today. 16 more people gaining access to the members lounge. Hellbound, thank you so much, dude. Really, really appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you.
Hellbound's always here. Hellbound's always here dropping membership gifts for you guys. He loves this community, and we love Hellbound. I have a lot of energy today. I did an intense... I had an intense workout session earlier. I've been getting really serious about trying to work out a lot harder, build up my my conditioning, and kind of getting, I want to get back into peak shape here. So, look, I'm not saying I want to lift today on stream. I may have brought up my other dumbbells just in case. But, if we hit the 50 mark, if we end up doing that, you guys know how it goes. So, let me see. Thank you, Hellbound. We have Devil Shooter says I chose violence today. I don't necessarily know that it's violence, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have a couple things I want to say. I don't know that I would call them violent. Certainly not. But I do have, I guess you could say, a kind of stance here that I want to... I feel like it's important to say these things now prior to this. It's so weird. I'm sorry. I just can't get over the fact a podcast. It's a podcast. How is it a podcast? This is bizarre. This is truly... How long is this podcast going to be? Please don't be as long as an MBG podcast. Please don't be 4 to 5 hours long. We're not going to be able to handle that. And we got our man Fred ADHD Vance coming in hot with 5 more memberships, dropping it on the community. Let's get some W's in the chat for our good friend Fred Vance here. Another legend. Really appreciate that, man. And Fred, I will let you know, I did see your comment where you're mentioning that you tried to add me on Helldivers 2. So I'm just going to let you guys know the situation with Helldivers 2. I've tried multiple times to put my friend code out there to ask for your friend codes, and I've added some people, but the game is still kind of broken, at least in this regard. I mean, I the servers crashed on me multiple times last night. They're having some trouble over there at Arrowhead. I'm not gonna lie. I'm super happy that the game is succeeding, but I might have to wait to play this game because I played 3 matches where they just crashed. I mean, I'm talking almost hour-long matches, and then it just crashes, and I just lose everything, and I'm like, what the hell? Very frustrating. But I noticed there's a serious bug with trying to add people. So if you sent me a friend request and I haven't added you, don't worry. It's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because the system's kind of broken and it's not letting me. Also, something else that's very confusing for me, at least a little bit, is some of the people that are requesting I add them on Helldivers too. Their PSN names are different um, from their Google names here. So sometimes I'm not even aware of who I'm adding. You're saying the servers were fine last night after the update? Dude, last night is when I was having the biggest issues. Truthfully, like last night is I kind of got pissed off because I was playing with a couple of members who just randomly joined, and I completed, I think, one short match, but then every match after that, I was having some kind of problem where by the end of it, even after we extracted, it like wouldn't bring us back to the ship, and it just glitched out. But I'm gonna try and hopefully play again tonight. I hope it works. Really great game though, man. Like honestly, it like that's what pains me to see it struggling this way with the servers because the game is just so good. Fred, you're saying, can I post my PSN here for those playing Helldivers too? Absolutely, man. Yeah, my bad. I meant to put out that community post. I'll try to remember to do it today so you guys can post your PSN names. A lot of people have been asking to do that. Somebody at the end of this stream today, try to remind me to do that in case I forget. But Fred, thank you so much for the 5 bomb with the membership gifts. And I see we have Josh here, member for 4 months, saying, my Lord MBG, you should have seen the way my squad was spreading liberty and freedom. I love that terminology. Our capes were just drenched, in peace. Brought a goddamn tear to my eyes. Good stuff. Yeah, dude, I gotta say, I think my favorite, I know that this is gonna sound insane because people are gonna probably clown on me and be like, wow, it's the voice acting, it's the humor. That's better than the gameplay. No, it's not better, but my favorite thing about this game, I'm not kidding, it is the humor and the voice acting, man. Like just the whole idea of spreading democracy. And my favorite thing truly is I don't think I've played a game, I'm not even kidding. I don't think I've ever played a game before where I'm in the thick of some serious tense action where I'm like about to die, right? And there's these giant creatures trying to destroy me. And my character just yells out something absurd. Yeah, like, freedom, or like, get some. Or if you get injured, it's like, my, like, mother of liberty, my leg, or something like that. It's amazing. Like, it really brings a genuine smile to my face. And there are just multiple times where I'm just bursting out laughing just because sometimes your character's like screaming something out as they're injured and then you just get blown up and what they were saying just gets cut off like mid-sentence. And I'm like, this is truly amazing. So shout out to Arrowhead, not just for making a great game, but adding a whole layer of humor on top of it that I guess thanks to their direction and voice acting, really, it's so good. It's so good. And Yuri Lowenthal, by the way, the voice of Spider-Man for the PlayStation Spider-Man games, he did confirm that he voices one of the characters, or he does one of the voiceovers in there. And I think he's the voiceover that I use. So good stuff, man. Good stuff. So I'm glad to hear that, Josh. But yes, let me inform you guys here. 23 hours ago, approximately 23 hours ago, the official Xbox Twitter account posted, please join us for a special edition of the official Xbox podcast question. I'm not as in the loop with this. Has there always been an official Xbox podcast and I'm just now realizing it? Because the way they word this, like to me, this feels new. I was not aware that there was an Xbox podcast. But maybe there was. There has been. Okay. So that makes a lot more sense. It makes a lot more sense. You're saying you love the thumbnail today? Oh, I'm glad. It's a genuine question I'm asking. Like, I really am wondering, like, what the hell they're going to say this time. Will I react to it? Well, let me ask you this question, too. How long are these podcasts normally? Because it's happening at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And that's Thursday. So I will be streaming already. I will be live at my normal time. So I don't see any reason why we couldn't react to it. But I just got to know if is it going to be like a 2-hour session, a 3-hour session, or do they keep it like an hour long? 3 hours? See, I've been seeing people make that joke of 3 hours. I'm like, there ain't no way that's going to be 3 hours long. I see people making jokes that it's a state of play. 2 to 3 hours. Damn. I'm assuming it's pre-recorded. Well, yeah, so they don't really give us much information. They say, please join us for a special edition of the official Xbox podcast. Hear from Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty as they share updates on the Xbox business. And yeah, I mean, I want to react to it just because it's like I'm dying to know what they're going to say. The last one was an hour and a half. Okay. So I guess that's about, I imagine this one will be a little bit shorter than that because they got to stick to the script here, man. They got to like get that message out. I will tell you this, the fact that it's going to be a podcast, like they're not doing a blog post, they're not doing like a pre-recorded video drop, it's going to be a podcast. I have to assume that there's a lot to unpack here, man. Like it's either going to be one of two things, right? It's either going to be they're going to make the critical announcements in like the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then the rest of that show is going to be them basically damage controlling and like explaining to you why it's okay, why it's not that big of a deal, and blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. Like that's, again, that would make sense for them to do that. But if it's not that, then it means that they have somehow like an hour's worth of announcements, which if they do it that way, they could just kind of check off the boxes one by one where it's like, all right, who's going to announce the first Xbox game going multi-platform? Maybe it'll be Phil Spencer. And now we need to give him 10 to 15 minutes to explain why, right? And then we'll move on to the next announcement, which is, okay, now we're going to cover the consoles. And then after that, we're going to cover Bethesda. And so that's kind of the vibe I'm getting with this, where it's like, I imagine all three of these individuals, you know, again, Matt Booty, Sarah Bond, and Phil Spencer, they're all there because they're going to have to kind of, you know, run down the list here. This is so sudden. Yeah, there's a lot about this that screams they're just kind of figuring it out at the last moment, and you can't really blame them. The reports are claiming that whatever this update was, or is, I should say, whatever this update is, was supposed to happen this spring. And because of all the leaks and it kind of, you know, it's like a wildfire, they basically had to, I guess, scramble. And this is why there's so much. Listen, let's get something straight. Let's get something straight with this situation, all right? Right now, Xbox as a brand is shoved into a corner. Okay? Their own fan base basically turned on them. At least a portion of them did. The most vocal individuals did. The most loyal, potentially, or what we would consider loyal, right? They've turned on them. And this was probably one of the most horrific weeks, if you want to word it that way, for Xbox in their history, which is saying something. Jim Ryan's going to be a guest on their podcast. Oh, man. And I want to make it known that we are going to see a full-on assault of PR marketing buzzwords like we've never seen from Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty, and whoever else might be there hosting the podcast. I need people to fully understand this. I think most people do. But right now, there are people who are absolutely going to, once again, allow Phil Spencer and company to pull the wool over their eyes. Do we need to be reminded? Maybe we do, not us, but some people I think do need to be reminded. Why are the most loyal hardcore Xbox fanboys having the biggest meltdown ever? Because they woke up, man. Their bubble was burst. The bubble that they were existing in. The delusion bubble, right? Where it's like, this isn't how it really is, man. Like, stop listening to Phil. Stop listening to the marketing buzzwords from Microsoft. Just stop. Right? Like, you don't have to be crazy about it and like fucking take a hammer to your Xbox. Just stop with the nonsense. And they never stopped. And so because of that, the bubble was burst by Microsoft themselves, or at least the rumors that were coming out of Xbox internally. And make no mistake, Phil knows Microsoft knows you are in a corner now. Now you got to push back. And this is going to be their big push. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, hold the line. You hear me? You hold the line. Don't let Phil come back with his two-faced nonsense, all right? Now, this is why I'm saying, this is why I had to title this stream the way I did, because I'm dying to know, is this the real shit? Is this the real shit? Is this truly a business update, or is this just damage control? Because if Microsoft, I will have respect for Phil and for Microsoft if they just lay that shit out on the table. Guess what? We're fucking third party. Deal with it. Guess what? We want money. Deal with it. Guess what? We're still making an Xbox console. Buy it if you want. Lay that shit down. Lay down the hammer. I would respect the fuck out of that, dude. But what I won't respect is hearing some nonsensical bullshit that we've been hearing over and over and over again. When we all play, we all win, and the best value in gaming, shove it. No one wants to hear it anymore. And anybody who does want to hear it, well, you got to get your shit figured out. Why do you want to hear the marketing? This is I'm telling you, man, this is where the rubber hits the road, you know? And I just want to, I'm not, so let me get a little bit more into this here. What do I think exactly is going to happen, right? It's going to be another case-by-case basis. No. Not this time, Phil. Not this time. No case-by-case bullshit. I don't want to hear that shit. And so help me, if they say that shit, and I see people out here be like, who said it was on a case-by-case basis, MBG? I'm going to have to shut that shit down real quick, because I'm pretty sure we heard that last time. Okay, here's the question. This is the only question. I'm going to have to title the stream on Thursday, bro. This is what I'm going to have to title it. Is Microsoft opening Pandora's box or keeping it closed? It's one or the other. It's just Hi-Fi Rush. It's just Pentiment. It's okay. No, it's not. Well, actually, it is okay at the end of the day. But please, I do not want to see any damage control. I want to see if they're going to open the box or not. Because the moment they open it, it's over. It's done. We all know now. It won't be, hey, I'm going to get the next Halo because Microsoft said it. Microsoft explicitly told me we are releasing the next Halo on PlayStation. No, guess what? You don't need Microsoft to explicitly tell you that. The only thing you need Microsoft to tell you this Thursday is, yeah, we're releasing X and Y game, and then maybe Z game down the line on PlayStation. That's all you need to know. And anything beyond that will be damage control. Understand that. I know you guys do. But I hope this gets out there to other people. Understand, anything beyond that is damage control. And you better believe, I believe, Microsoft is going to do what they do best. They're going to work their fan base like puppets. They're going to do it. At least the hardcore ones, the fanboys, right? The most vocal ones. They're going to work them like puppets. They're going to feed them the exact, here's what you say online. Just repeat after us. Repeat after us, and you'll be safe. Hold the line, right? Keep it going. Push back. It's all good. And that's what I'm saying. Like, no, fuck that shit, dude. I don't want to see that. This is where we got to push back now and be like, no, dude. If that box is opened, it's over. It's done. There's nothing left to be said. There's nothing left to be said. Novinzer, you're saying we're getting Silent Hill and Xbox has Silent Phil. Yeah, silent for now, bro. Silent for now. I can't wait to hear Phil. Please, Phil, come out and just look your fan base in the eye and make it known. Guess what, guys? I never really was your friend. It turns out I'm also a business executive. I know. I can't wait. Because I'm telling you, man, like it's already out here. Here's the other side of it, right? Some people know this. I've seen some people saying to me, like, what are you going to do when it's all wrong? When Microsoft, when Phil Spencer comes out and they say, guess what? It's not true. None of it. Not Hi-Fi Rush, not Sea of Thieves, not Gears, not Halo, not Starfield. Nothing's coming. Well, first off, that wouldn't make any sense. They could have said that to begin with. But unless Microsoft, that would be Microsoft keeping the box closed, okay? We thought about it, we heard you, and we've decided we're not going through with this. We're pulling back. Okay. Then I back up, and all right. Okay, Phil. Whoa, all right. Didn't see that one coming. But unless that shit happens, we all know. And it's a big deal. It is. It's not like, the end of the world or anything. But it's like, this is the moment we've been waiting for. Enough of the rumors, enough of the back and dude, insiders have shredded their credibility this week. Have you guys noticed this? Like, the insiders have who've spent years building up their reputation, just put that shit in a paper shredder this past week. Because one day it's, oh yeah, Starfield's coming. The next day, actually, that's totally fabricated. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm seeing a job listing posted by 343 Industries saying that they're going to be launching on all platforms in the future. Last time I checked, that includes PlayStation and Switch. I don't think you need an insider at this point. I don't think you need a source at this point. To kind of pick up what Microsoft's putting down. But dude, I hope we see a totally different Phil Spencer this week, man. I cannot wait until I can't wait to react to this shit, because it's gonna be it's either gonna be me cheering them on, being like, good shit. You're actually you're throwing down the gauntlet, you're laying it down. Good shit. Or it's gonna be, oh my God, this is the worst damage control I've ever heard. It's gonna be one or the other. There is no in between. That's the nature of a situation like this. You think nobody knows the truth, even if there is some truth to it? I mean, I do believe there's very much a situation where, see, all right, let's get a little bit deeper with this, right? The whole idea behind this is more sales, more money. Right? That's it. That's all it comes down to. More sales, more money. And it makes sense, of course. Microsoft wants to capitalize on sales potentially for some of their games on PlayStation, on Switch, large install bases. Nothing wrong with that. You respect it. The guys got a lot of games now. You got a lot of games. Maybe Game Pass growth isn't where it should be. Makes sense. It all adds up. There's nothing crazy about that when you think about it. But my question is this, right? Like, okay, you're starting, supposedly, I should probably just read to you this report. The latest report comes from The Verge. Tom Warren says Microsoft prepares to take Xbox everywhere. All right, so let me get to the important part. Well, I want to read this article, but before I do, I want to make this point. And one of the things that Tom Warren states in this article, again, I don't know, it sounds like this is the most recent update, I guess, with the rumors. And I imagine that any rumor we hear now is probably more likely to be true since it's about to actually happen. Apparently, the first two games are going to be Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment. And this to me is like, that to me already seems like a little bit of damage control, right? Because it's like, whoa, hold on now, hold on. So you guys are going to do exactly what I thought you were going to do, right? Where it's like, let's just paint the picture, but make sure it's not as bad. The picture can't be nearly as ugly and disturbing to our fan base as the picture that the internet and the rumors painted. Because the rumors were like, yo, it's Gears, it's Halo, it's Starfield, it's the whole fucking slate, bitch. That's what the rumors were saying. Now, no. It's just Hi-Fi Rush. It's just Pentiment. We're not saying anything about Halo, Gears, or Starfield today. In fact, we don't even know, right? It's just like, nah, I'm not going to buy that shit. Because it's like, What's stopping you exactly? I don't think there's anything. I think the only thing that's stopping them is they don't want what just happened to happen perpetually. But it's also, listen, if they try to pull that shit where they're like, oh, it's just going to be some games and we're not talking Halo today or Gears. But if they really are planning that shit, it's like, dude, you're making a huge mistake not just ripping that Band-Aid off and just saying, this is how we're doing it. And maybe they are. It's a business update after all. We have to understand, and this is so critically important, Microsoft is also going to be talking to the shareholders. That's why they're calling it a business update. So there's a part of me that's less inclined to believe there's going to be a lot of damage control and PR bullshit. I think if there is going to be damage control PR bullshit, it's going to come after they fucking rip the Band-Aid off. Like, they're going to rip the Band-Aid. The people are going to scream. They're going to be like, oh, hold on. It's okay. Calm down. It's all right. Phil will be there. Okay? And he'll tell you exactly what you want to hear, what you need to hear. Trust in Phil. The Mark Shark, you're saying you can finally play Crackdown 3 on PS5. Excited? Hell yeah. The way it was meant to be played. Crackdown 3 on PS5. We did it, boys. This is the way this game was meant to be played. I would fall out of my chair if they're like, and we're happy to announce that one of the first games we're going to bring multi-platform to PlayStation 5 and Switch is none other than Crackdown 3 starring Terry Crews. I would fucking fall out of my chair, and I wouldn't even know how to react. I'd be like, I guess I have to play it now. We've come truly full circle at that point. It's a beautiful thing. What games do I think will come over? Well, let me read this article to you just so you understand what's apparently about to go down. So, Tom Warren from The Verge, Microsoft's Xbox business needs to get bigger. The company's Xbox Series X and S sales still lag behind the PS5, and Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer has previously admitted its Game Pass subscriptions were slowing down too. He admitted that in 2022, a dry year for Xbox games after Microsoft's big exclusive Bethesda game Starfield was delayed. As Xbox Game Pass slowdown might be why I'm hearing that a number of Xbox exclusives are coming to consoles, with which Microsoft usually competes. Sources familiar with Microsoft's plans tell The Verge that the company is getting ready to launch a select number of Xbox games on PS5 and Switch. Weeks of rumors suggest that Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, and even Bethesda titles like Starfield and Indiana Jones could appear on non-Xbox platforms. See, this is where I'm saying it's like Tom Warren is not backing off from the Starfield and Indiana Jones shit here. The first two games that are set to appear on rival consoles are Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment, according to sources. Microsoft is also currently planning to launch Sea of Thieves on non-Xbox platforms later this year, with other first-party titles also under consideration. My question is simply this. It is as simple as this. They're under consideration. What would stop them? See, I fear that Microsoft may be setting themselves up for failure again, dude. Like, again. Where, okay, so you're, like, Pentiment? Like, no, look, I'm not trying to throw shade at this game, but it's like, what are your sales expectations for that game? Like, Hi-Fi Rush as well. Look, maybe Hi-Fi Rush has a ton of potential to sell, but it's like, what are the expectations here? Because I just feel like these games are not the strongest contenders. Same thing with Sea of Thieves. So is Microsoft saying that like future games are under consideration? We have to see how these ones perform first. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that I'm pretty sure Gears and Halo and Starfield would perform significantly better on competing platforms than games like Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, and Sea of Thieves. So this is another reason why I don't buy this notion. Where is that what Microsoft's going to tell us? Microsoft's going to come out and they're going to say, we're just starting with these games and others are possibly under consideration, but we're not sure yet. In other words, translation, we have to see how they sell. Okay, if they sell poorly, you know what I mean? Like, surely somebody at Microsoft has to be smart enough to know, like, you can't determine if Starfield would sell a lot or not on PS5 based off of how many copies Hi-Fi Rush or Sea of Thieves sells on PS5. This is why I'm like, there's no way they're that dumb, right? Like, they know that. Absolutely, they know that. How could they not know that? So to me, it sounds like it sounds like that's going to be the marketing push. It's exactly what somebody said earlier, like a case-by-case basis. Like, we're not here to confirm the whole slate. We're just saying the whole slate's under consideration. No, no, that's not how that works. That is not how that works, dude. Unless it's just a matter of bandwidth. Now, if it's just a matter of bandwidth, that does make sense. And if they say that, then they're making it explicitly clear. Like, we would put the entire slate, but we don't actually have, enough resources and time to port every game. Kind of like with Sony and PC, right? Where I'm sure Sony would love to get as many of their games on the PC, like their back catalog, as possible, but they only have one dedicated studio for PC development. So it's just like, well, we're doing the best we can. We're kind of we have to pick and choose just by the nature of time and money, and resource. We have Sal. He says, Phil on Thursday, quote, hold the line till next E3. Unfortunately, somebody would have to chime in. Maybe Matt Booty would have to nudge Phil and be like, Phil, E3 is gone, bro. Didn't you get the memo? We have Cobb Sanity saying, for me, I'm not interested in any Xbox games. If I was, I would have bought an Xbox a long time ago. I've been on PlayStation since the PS1 days. Yeah, I've seen a lot of... See, it's interesting. I see a lot of people saying that, but I also see a lot of people saying that they would absolutely buy these games. And I can only speak for myself. I have zero interest in Pentiment. Like, Microsoft, I'll be honest, I don't think there's anything wrong with that game coming, but it's like, I don't know what your expectations are. Maybe it'll surprise everybody and do really well. But I'm not interested in Pentiment. I'm not really interested in Hi-Fi Rush, and I'm not interested in Sea of Thieves. So, to be honest, there aren't many Xbox games that I'm interested in, because I'm in the same boat as you, Cobb Sanity, where it's like, if I was interested in these games, I would already be there. The question is, what does Microsoft do if these games don't sell well? That would be a hell of a situation to find themselves in. Let me read the rest of this article, though. It says, the first two games that are set to appear on rival consoles are Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment, according to sources. Microsoft is also currently planning to launch Sea of Thieves on non-Xbox platforms later this year, with other first-party titles also under consideration. Launching Xbox games on PlayStation or Nintendo Switch is a seismic shift in strategy, and not one that Microsoft will have taken lightly. It will give Microsoft more reach for its first-party games and an opportunity to generate more gaming revenue, but it also comes with plenty of risks. Microsoft's overall gaming business just passed Windows in terms of revenue, thanks to the Activision Blizzard acquisition. The giant $68 billion acquisition will be weighing on Microsoft's mind, particularly when you consider that Call of Duty is a big multi-platform game that drives key revenue across these platforms and mobile. That slowdown in Game Pass will also be part of why Microsoft is even considering more multi-platform titles. In May 2022, Microsoft had an ambitious goal of 100 million Xbox Game Pass subscribers by the year 2030. At the time, the service, which lets Xbox owners subscribe, you already know, at the time, it was sitting at 25 million subs, up from 18 million subs in 2021. It looked set to continue growing rapidly amid Microsoft's device-agnostic focus on consoles, PC, and cloud gaming. Then Xbox Game Pass started to stall. Starfield and Redfall, which were set to be major Xbox exclusives, got delayed from a 2022 release to 2023, with Starfield missing a key holiday window. It feels like we were likely to go through a gap of almost 16 months between big exclusive launches on our platform, said Phil Spencer in an internal email to Xbox leaders in May of 2022, revealed by the FTC v. Microsoft case. This was really a disaster situation for us, given all we've invested in content across studios at our Game Pass Content Fund. And so I find this very interesting that this is being brought up in this article, because I am, among many others, were very much trying to point out how dire the situation was for Microsoft in 2022, where it's like you can't go a whole year with zero game, not even a whole year. Let's be honest, it was a year and a half. Microsoft didn't get another first-party game out until May of 2023. So from January 2022 to May 2023, there was nothing. You can't go that long. And, well, I mean, obviously Phil knows that. He said it in the email, like, this is a disaster. It is. You just bought Bethesda. It's like, where are the games? You bought 5 studios in 2018. Where are the games? And it just seems to me like what this highlights, the biggest mistake that Phil seemingly made during this entire time, from the time he thought about the concept of Game Pass and created it till now, is the time it takes to make these games, where it's like, we need the content. We need to buy the content. We need to secure the content. Okay, is the content ready to go? No, it's not. Well, are we going to miss our projections? Yeah, you are. Is this going to cause a massive stall on Game Pass? Yes, it is. What do we do then? I don't know. We need to now find other ways to make money. So you can kind of trace this back. And that's why I appreciate this article from The Verge, because it is tracing it back to, I got to update this, by the way. We're at 21 members. Sorry about that. So we're 4 away, by the way. 4 away from hitting our first goal. My bad. I didn't realize that wasn't updated. But you can trace it back to just the simple fact that, like, it's not just... See, here's another interesting fact, seemingly, based off of the data and what we're seeing. It's not even just content. It's not even just content for content's sake. Like, you can't just dump out anything onto Game Pass and expect to gain subs. It has to be exciting and appealing. And apparently it seems like even Starfield wasn't enough to carry that load, to make up that gap, right? Or to boost Game Pass to where it needed to be. And I'm sorry to sound like a broken record here, but it just kind of really brings you back to all those times that Jim Ryan and Sony were like, doesn't work. Doesn't work. Jim Ryan straight up said during the fucking FTC trial, like, yeah, publishers hate that shit, dude. Like, they don't like subscription services. They don't like it. It's not because they're greedy. Well, I mean, all companies are greedy, of course, but it's not because, like, they just want to. No, it's because it just doesn't work. Why would they like a model that is not? It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, and everybody was fighting, and they're like, Jim just wants to fucking nickel and dime everybody. He's greedy. Sony's greedy. It's like, or maybe he's right. Or maybe he's right. Even Bobby fucking Kotick on the stand during that trial, he straight up said, yeah. He didn't say, I mean, I'm super paraphrasing. He didn't say Game Pass sucks, but he's like, the subscription model doesn't work. He's pretty much said that. And the lawyer, like, questioned him, like, well, then why are you selling to Microsoft? And he was like, not my problem. Like, that's not my problem. Like, they can do what they want. It was right there. It was right there in front of our faces, in front of everybody's faces. You got Jim Ryan, you got Bobby Kotick, 2 high-end executives for big companies, right, that are out here just straight up telling you this shit doesn't work. But you have the fan base that has evangelized Game Pass and Phil Spencer, like, no, it will work because Phil said so. Well, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Where are they now? Well, Bobby Kotick got his golden parachute. He's good for life. He's set, And Jim, I think he's set too. Jim's like, hey, PS5 is doing great. I did my job. I'm out. I'm going to go chill. Meanwhile, Phil's out here scrambling to put together a podcast to damage control. Oh, man. Oh, man. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? I feel like it's that Paul Rudd meme when he was on Hot Ones. He's like, look at us. The Philcast. Dude, I'm so curious to see how casual this podcast is. I think I'm just going to have to react to it and play it. You guys can watch it here with me. Yeah, I agree with that. You're saying in the chat that if the business model worked, they wouldn't even be considering putting their games on their platforms. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Like, they're drowning, dude. Like, I know I've heard from so many people. I don't listen to anything anymore because I just made me like this whole thing has made me realize like, oh my God, dude, it is actually sad. It's sad, but also not surprising to see just how wrong people can be. People who are so like, no, I am right because I know how this works. Let me tell you the reality. It's like, you sure about that, man? Because that doesn't seem to make any business sense. You sure you're not just kind of relaying what Microsoft's marketing strategy told you? And it's like, dude, even now, man, like even now you're seeing that same fan base get angry at the idea of losing their exclusives. When it's like, do you guys not like realize that they're doing this because they're drowning, dude? Like they are sinking. Do you want to see, and I'm not asking you guys, but like I guess this is towards the hardcore Xbox fan base, right? Or the ones that are having the meltdowns. It's like, do you just want to see Xbox die and go away completely? Because at the rate they're going, that's what's going to happen because it's going to be totally unjustifiable. Define sinking. To me, in this case, sinking is simply they're not making anywhere near enough money. They're not seeing anywhere near enough growth. You know, it's like it is the opposite of what a company like Microsoft or any company for that matter, but especially a high operating company like Microsoft. Yeah, no, they're sinking. Or they're going to be sinking a lot more quickly if they can't figure it out. And we got Corey the Legend Landiga coming in. Corey coming in, doing some heavy lifting today, dropping 10 memberships on us. He drops us a 10 bomb. Corey decimates the goal. Gets us past 25, brings us up to 31 members on the day. Corey, my friend.
Holy shit.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for all of the tremendous support you show me in this community. I'm going to update this member goal. Give me just a moment. Corey, that one's for you.
Kept you waiting, huh?
There you go. All right, let me finish this up. All right. 31, guys. 31 memberships. Corey, once again, thank you for that 10 bomb, dude. Saying I have a big cat. Yeah, he's a large fella. He's sleeping peacefully. I'm telling you, man, I got rid of those snacks, by the way, with the catnip in them, and he's acting a lot better now. I'm not buying that shit ever again, man. I mean, it's fun to see him get so excited, but I genuinely think like it created like an unhealthy, I don't know, it seemed like an unhealthy addiction, dude, where like even like when I stopped giving it to him for a couple days, he was acting like more lethargic and not his normal self. And I'm like, what the fuck is in this? So I'm not buying that shit anymore. I'm just going to get regular old snacks. And he's been behaving a lot better. He's a lot more himself now. So swear, man, out here trying to get my cat addicted to drugs. What's going on? Rudy, you're right. You're like, I told you about that cat crack. Yeah. I think it's real. I mean, maybe it's different for all cats. Maybe every cat just reacts differently to different types of cat. I guess there's different types of catnip. But yeah, I'm done with that. But he's good now, which is good. By the way, guys, do me a favor, hit that like button for me. We're sitting at 228 likes. We have over 700 people here, which is awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's see if we can get up to 250 likes. Really appreciate that. What's the name of the brand? I forgot. I'd have to look at the box. I got rid of it. But getting back on track here, though, I know a lot of what I'm saying. It's stuff that you guys already know, and it's stuff that we've talked about over and over and over again. But it's just really hard, truthfully, to not talk about it now a lot, because it's just wild to me that I don't know what's more insane to me than anything else. It's not even that Microsoft is getting ready to do something like this. The most insane thing to me after all of this is just the fact that there are still people out there that are like, that they didn't see it. You know what I mean? Like, they just didn't realize. And I'm not even saying, look, I know I'm speaking like it's confirmed. And I understand that could be a mistake, because for all I know, maybe Phil will come out and be like, yeah, we're not doing anything like that. But to me, that just doesn't make any sense at this point, because nothing Microsoft has been doing for a long time now has really made any sense business-wise. And you look at the way all other video game companies operate. You look at the situation now where it's like companies are desperately trying to make sure they don't shrink. They're desperately trying to hold on to whatever profitability they have, right? These are all things they're doing. And you just got Microsoft out here, and you got to ask the question, like, how much longer can they continue to just focus on the value proposition when the value proposition is seemingly not enough? I'm really, really, really interested to hear what Phil or Sarah Bond has to say about Game Pass. I mean, if there's any, to me, that is the thing I'm most interested in hearing, because of course, like, don't get me wrong, I want to know if if their games are coming to PlayStation, like, yeah, that's as soon as we find out Hi-Fi Rush is coming to PlayStation, as far as I'm concerned, okay. So Xbox games will come to PlayStation, got it. So now I can expect them eventually to come to my platform, cool. But I really want to hear what they have to say about Game Pass more than anything, because I think it's kind of somewhat easy to thread the needle. Not easy, but easier to thread the needle of, all right, well, we have to put some of our games onto competing platforms. We have to go multi-platform with some of our games, just like Call of Duty, just like Minecraft, right? We need to maximize some sales. Yes, Corey, it's happening Thursday, and I will be streaming. We have to maximize this stuff, right? But it's not going to be every game, or it'll be on a case-by-case basis, or only some games are under consideration, and we'll update you. I feel like that's an easy way for Microsoft to just kind of skirt around I don't know if it'll work for them, but they're going to skirt around. They could skirt around it that way and just be like, just focus on these three smaller games. But my real question is, when the time comes where they have to talk about Game Pass, if they're going to, I mean, there is always the possibility they could not talk about it. I don't know how Microsoft would effectively give a business update on the Xbox brand without talking about Game Pass. And here's the thing. Game Pass will have to be discussed, and it's just like anything else with this business update. It's going to go one way or the other. There is no in between. It's either Game Pass is meeting our expectations, Game Pass is doing exactly what we want it to do, and everything is fine. Or it's going to be Game Pass isn't meeting our expectations. Game Pass has slowed down. Game Pass is not working out the way we thought it would. But here's the thing. If a game like Hi-Fi Rush, if a game like Pentiment, if a game like Sea of Thieves, and if possibly other games end up going to PlayStation and Switch, doesn't that kind of destroy the whole notion of it's doing well? saying they probably got a little boost from Power World too. Honestly, they probably got the biggest boost from Power World, which is funny to think about, right? I wouldn't be surprised if they got a bigger boost from Power World than they did Starfield, dude. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah, I'm you know what? Let me finish this. I'm gonna go back to this Verge article before I continue on here. Yeah. Sorry, my throat's getting a little dry here. All right, let me finish this article because there's still more to say. So it says in the months since the FTC trial and whatnot, Microsoft has not provided any update on subscriber numbers to investors. It's been more than 2 years since the 25 million figure was announced alongside the company's Activision Blizzard acquisition, and some analysts estimate that Microsoft is only sitting at around 33 million subscribers. If accurate, that's around 33% growth in 2 years. Microsoft targeted, get this shit, Microsoft targeted a 73% growth rate for Game Pass subscriptions for a single fiscal year that ended in June 2022, but only managed 28%. The company then dropped Xbox Game Pass growth as a target for Satya Nadella's executive compensation last year, after first exceeding its ambitious Game Pass internal targets in 2020 and then failing to meet compensation targets for 2 years in a row. See, there it is. There it is, 2020. Who would have thought Game Pass was booming in 2020? Just like literally everything else in gaming. Even PlayStation Plus was. I don't understand how these corporate executives, right? How could they not realize that this is a temporary boon? Like, you shouldn't base next year's projections on what just occurred now, because people are like on lockdown. You know what I mean? Like you're getting an artificial boost here. Hector, you're saying, do you think Jim Ryan knew that Xbox was finished? That's why he's retiring. The timing is too perfect. I will say this. To me, this is very fascinating. Apparently, this is an update that Microsoft was planning since like summer of last year. And one of the rumors we heard, which I mean, this one has to be true if this does end up happening, is Microsoft ordered a shit ton of dev kits from PS5 or from Sony. A shit ton of PS5 dev kits. Dude, Jim Ryan very well could have like, and the thing is, Sony knows the games that are coming, at least at first. Microsoft has to put these games through certification and everything else. I would not be entirely shocked if Jim saw that shit and he's like, oh my God, I did it. He's like, yo, this is the highest note I could ever go out on. I got to go. I wouldn't be shocked if he's just like, yo, there's a reason why Sony just held a retirement party for me with my face on some cookies. Okay. Well, we didn't know. We didn't know, bro. No, I don't know. I wish, I hope that we get to hear a little bit from Jim Ryan once he's retired. He's still at Sony now. Yeah, he's got about a month and a half left before he officially retires. Sometimes I wonder if for Jim it's going to be like the the clip from The Wolf on Wall Street where he's holding the mic and he's like, I'm not fucking going. I'm not going. I'm staying. I'm fucking staying. That could be Jim. But no, I think he is going to retire. And the thing is, I'll be really interested to hear, hopefully, from Jim. I mean, kind of like in the way we did with Sean Layden, where it took a little while, right? Like, I don't think Jim is going to be allowed to talk about PlayStation for a certain amount of time. He's not going to be allowed to do any interviews or anything like that. But when enough time goes by, he'll be able to talk to people. Hey, I'll see if I can get him on the show here. I doubt it, but it'll just be really interesting in the future to hear what Jim Ryan might have to say. All right, let's go back to this here. It says Microsoft had instead focused more on PC Game Pass growth this past year and scaled back some of its Xbox cloud gaming plans. The combination of the Series S, the effective $299 Game Pass model and cloud gaming was supposed to drive a big part of the 100 million Game Pass members figure that was leaked in the FTC v. Microsoft materials. But sales of Microsoft's latest console won't get the company there alone. Microsoft has been looking at other avenues for Game Pass or gaming revenue growth, particularly on mobile, a key reason behind the ABK acquisition. The publisher's lineup includes mobile games like Call of Duty Mobile, Candy Crush, and Diablo Immortal. A new Xbox mobile gaming store could launch this year, with Microsoft banking on the EU's Digital Markets Act, forcing Apple and Google to change how they distribute apps on mobile devices and ultimately open up their platforms and stores to competition. But Apple's surprise new plan to comply with the European Union's latest tech regulations has left Microsoft and others frustrated. Apple's new policy is a step in the wrong direction, said Bond in reaction to Apple's proposals last month. Spencer had previously described the Xbox Mobile Store and the EU's Digital Markets Act as a huge opportunity for Microsoft. All this means that adding a bunch of games to the Switch and PS5 won't necessarily help Microsoft's ambitions for the Xbox. That's why I suspect Microsoft might need to tease more of its future hardware vision. Microsoft held an internal town hall for Xbox employees last week where Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer, head of Xbox Game Studios Matt Booty, and Xbox President Sarah Bond all addressed employees. Shannon Lau first reported details of the town hall. While executives reassured employees that Xbox hardware would continue, they didn't directly address the elephant in the room, those persistent rumors about Xbox exclusives coming to rival consoles. Even rumors of the more rattled Xbox fans, even rumors of the more rattled, let me try this again. Even rumors of the move rattled Xbox fans with fears that Microsoft may eventually scrap Xbox console hardware, render digital Xbox libraries useless, and just publish games on rival platforms. But after 20 plus years of Xbox hardware, it seems inconceivable that Microsoft would suddenly walk away from the device ecosystem that drives its Xbox platform and revenues. Instead, I suspect Microsoft will have a vision that distracts from some select Xbox games heading to rival platforms. And so, yeah, I wanted to conclude this article because it does mention the rumor that, again, we did cover this, but it's worth reiterating here. The next question is, okay, what does it mean? What will it mean? How will people react when Microsoft, this Thursday, potentially Phil Spencer, they say, yeah, Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, Pentiment, these games are coming and other games are up for consideration. By the way, we're also making another Xbox. I want to know, how does the hardcore Xbox fan base react to that? Because it seems to me that at least the way some of them were reacting, it's like, I do think that some people went off the deep end where they're like, yeah, Microsoft is exiting the console space. And, well, you know what? Scratch that. That's actually not going off the deep end. Going off the deep end is they're going to shut down their storefront and take away my digital purchases and stuff. To me, that's going off the deep end. But I totally understand, like, why those fans were saying that about the Xbox, because it's like they had to, this hardcore Xbox fan base had to endure like 10 years of, or close to 10 years of Phil Spencer and Microsoft basically degrading the Xbox console hardware every year, putting less and less emphasis on it, making it known that it's not the priority, while still being sold that console by still, even going back to the interview that Phil Spencer did, by the way, after Tim Stewart in November basically revealed they're going third party, he did an interview with Jez Corden and he was like, we're not putting Game Pass on PlayStation. It's like, okay. And then he went on to talk about the console. And all he basically said is the same bullshit that they always say, which is we want the Xbox console buyer to feel special. We want them to know that we care. It's like, it's total bullshit, dude. And this is what's going to bother me most about Microsoft acknowledging this, where it's like, are we really going to see Phil Spencer come out here and try to convince people? Or actually, maybe the real question is, are we really going to see people be this stupid where Phil's going to come out and try to convince people that, yeah, we're going to put some of our exclusives onto rival consoles, right? That's what we're going to do. PS5, Switch, and others might come later down the line. But please look forward to our next Xbox console. Like, there's just no way people are going to fall for that shit, right? Right? Like that, because there's just no way. Don't get me wrong. I'm fine with that. Like, I have no problem. I think that's a good thing if Microsoft wants to make another console. But I just think it's like, really though, who's gonna buy that thing? I understand that a lot of people feel like consoles are already on their way out, but it's like, god damn, dude. This is Microsoft just basically escorting their own console out, taking it out back. Something that I saw some hardcore Xbox fanboys saying last week was that they wish that Microsoft would just go back to the traditional model, have exclusives for just your console, right? And use them to sell your console, especially now that you have all these studios and whatnot. You're saying Microsoft should leave gaming? Well, I'll tell you what, they're not really doing fuck all for it right now. At least based off of what I can see. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're saving some money through Game Pass, that's fine. But the only thing Microsoft has seemingly done recently is just buy publishers. And this is why I'm saying, like, the only thing Microsoft might have left to hold on to try to keep fans is the Game Pass value. But I find it so weird that they updated their website and they're already starting to change the terminology, where the terminology is no longer play day one on Game Pass. The terminology is changing to play it on Game Pass. I think that's very intentional. Why else would you change that? I don't know. I'm basically just preparing myself for one of the largest displays of damage control we've ever seen from a gaming brand. That truthfully is what I am prepared to witness on Thursday. I don't see any chance. I hope they do, but I don't believe it's going to happen. I don't see any chance that they're just going to come out and just give it to the fan base straight, saying it's going to be a good day. True. Don't forget, they have Game Pass Core, which doesn't give them all titles day one. That's true. Yeah. I honestly forget about that all the time. Like, I forgot that they got rid of Xbox Live and just rebranded it Game Pass Core. They're going to go full PR mode. That's what I'm thinking. Let me see. We have Planet Schlorpian saying consoles have been on their way out since 2011. Maybe. I mean, I don't think there's any denying that as we go throughout each generation, it's questioned more and more, like, do we really need consoles? I think we do, just because it's like, what's the harm, right? Like, if the model is working, then I don't see a problem. But gaming is, as a whole, getting bigger and bigger. It has been getting bigger and bigger. It's reached insane levels of just how big it is, the industry itself. And so you can kind of understand where like even Sony knowing that the PS5 is doing so well, or at least it seems like it's still doing really well. I'm always kind of paying attention to the fact that Sony definitely has ambition as well, where they do want to go beyond the console. They want to get the PlayStation brand to be ultimately more ubiquitous. And I don't fault Sony or Microsoft for that. I just think the dumbest thing these companies can do is think that they can do that while just like basically throwing their hardcore fans. You're saying that was sarcasm? Yeah, well, okay. Well, it's hard to tell, dude, because I'll be honest, man, like the conversations that I see happening about consoles, it's like, I mean, I get what you're saying in that case where it's like, yeah, we've been hearing about consoles going away forever now. That's true. And they haven't gone away. And even now, right? Like even now it's like, oh my God, Microsoft is going to get rid of their exclusives, but they're still going to make a console. I think console hardware justifiably has a place for still a good amount of time. But I don't know. I don't think any company would be wise, Microsoft included, to reach these lofty, ambitious goals of just ultimate growth, ultimate power, if the cost is your hardcore fan base that you've spent decades building up. And I think that ultimately is what this kind of comes down to is, as far as I'm concerned, this business update is just as much about addressing the core fan base as much as it is the shareholders, and the thing I'm not looking forward to is just how cringeworthy some of this shit might be, where it's like, they're really going there, you know what I mean? Or they're really gonna lean into this, aren't they? When in reality, it's like, surely everyone sees Microsoft for who they are at this point, right? I'm not saying that means you have to hate them or not want to play on Xbox or not want to play their games or support them. I'm not saying that at all. But it's like, surely you see them for who they are now, right? I fucking saw people on Twitter and shit, dude. Like, people who were, I don't know, just so rambunctious, I guess you could say. So enthusiastic about Microsoft and everything they had to say and how much better they are, saving me money, the value, right? It's just so much better than what Sony and Nintendo are doing. And then just like overnight, just being like, they're going to get rid of day one games on Game Pass, aren't they? And it's like, fuck if I know. But would you really be surprised? Like, would you really be surprised? And to be fair, if they were to say yeah, I'd be like, can't blame you if you're the same person that actually ate that shit up. Because, yeah, you're the one that's going to be surprised. Everybody else is going to be looking and saying, oh, saw that shit coming. Or, yeah, it makes sense. Not sure how they were able to do that in the first place. And, like, this is why it's like, listen, people think the worst thing Microsoft could end up announcing next week, or sorry, in just a couple days on Thursday, people think that the worst thing Microsoft could end up announcing is, yeah, we're going multi-platform. That's not the worst thing they could announce for the fan base. It's not. I know it seems like it is, but it's just not. It's like it at this point, it almost doesn't matter. The most loyal, hardcore fans already made it clear where they stand, and they're done. Right? What's worse is if Microsoft, I want to make it crystal clear, I don't think this is going to happen. I do not think this is going to happen. But if it were, this would by far and away be the worst thing. And it would be if they have to make the announcement. I don't know how. See, I don't even know how they would do this. We're not doing day one drops anymore on Game Pass with our games. with our exclusives. If they were to do that, it would be like that would truly be like the tsunami to wipe it all away. Like truthfully, because it's like even the most loyal Xbox fan could sit there and say, if every single game is going to PlayStation, but can I get it on Game Pass day one? And that's the thing. On Xbox or on PlayStation and Switch and PC, well, I guess maybe on PC you can. But on these rival consoles, no, you cannot. You cannot. But if you stick to Game Pass, you can. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it's just, there's been so much, I think, emphasis on, understandably so, like, oh my God, Halo on PlayStation. Like, yeah, that's some pretty insane shit, dude. Like, didn't think we'd be having these conversations at this point in time. At least not so soon. But I think it's just worth thinking about the notion that if Game Pass is really falling this far behind, you need to keep in mind that, like, they put Starfield on Game Pass, dude. And what did it do? I mean, like, really, what did it do? And we have Tin Blood. Tin Blood coming in, keeping the membership train rolling today. Tin Blood drops 5 more membership gifts for you guys.
Appreciate it.
Tin, I feel like this is the first time I'm seeing you gift on the channel, man. At least it seems that way. So thank you so much for that, buddy. Thank you for keeping this thing rolling and bringing us up to 36 members on the day. So we are getting closer, guys. We are getting closer to that 50 mark. See if we can end up getting there. It's always nice to see new people kind of handing out membership gifts. It's really cool to see the community kind of inspire one another that way. So good stuff, Tin Blood. Thank you so much. Corey, you're saying many of us have seen a similar pattern back in the Sega days. Look how that turned out. Yeah, I'm so curious about the Game Pass thing. We have Alan L. Gould. He says, MBG, the biggest problem for Xbox is that they don't know what they're doing. Yeah, that is a pretty big problem. And you're saying an even bigger problem is they don't know what they're saying. Alan L. Gould says they don't know what they're doing and they don't know what they're saying. Does Microsoft know anything? I mean, I agree. I don't think Microsoft doesn't know what they're doing, dude. At least, yeah, Xbox. I don't know how people can think that they know what they're doing at this point in time. Like, it's so obviously clear. Like, they don't know what they're doing and they have to figure it out. This is why, I always kind of questioned, to be honest, I questioned why was Jim Ryan such a Chad? No, but in all seriousness, like, why did Sony just like not blink? Or the only time Sony blinked is if they thought they were going to lose Call of Duty, which anybody would blink. But other than that, like, they just didn't blink, dude. Like, they didn't waver, no matter how much hate they got, no matter how much backlash they got. And I always tried to, well, to be fair, I guess I didn't really wonder that much. I tried to tell people thought I was damage controlling, but it's like, it's pretty clear why Sony's not blinking, why they're not reacting. Look at the data. Look at the data. Look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. You know who lies? Random fucking people online. Random fucking people on Twitter. The numbers don't lie. And when Sony's looking at their numbers, while they're not perfect, they're like, hey, this is going pretty good. We have a good thing going here. And if we make a couple of adjustments as we go and we pay close attention to the slight ups and downs and changes and we react accordingly, not overreact, not underreact, but just the right amount, steady as she goes. Meanwhile, Xbox has been fucking God, man. Like, their ship is sinking and then it's fucking flying in the air and then it comes back crashing back down. It's fucking upside down. It's sideways. It's like, what is even going on? Like, I don't understand. I almost feel sorry for the fan base where it's like, God damn, dude. Like, you guys have been jerked around, I think, more than like any other fan base I've seen. Where it's like, I can't really blame people for, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the meltdowns are a little extreme, but I get it, man. Like, some of the emotion you see, it's like, yeah, I was there one time. For me, it was Crackdown 3. That was my breaking point where I'm like, I can't take this shit no more, man. Like, what are you guys doing? Hey, MBG, did you talk about the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo? So I did, yeah, I did, but I'll just let you know, I played it, and I finished it, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, hell yeah. Very much excited for Final Fantasy. I had to play it in the 30 FPS mode, though, in the fidelity mode, because, man, there's something going on with that performance mode. I think it's bugged. Doesn't look very good. I'm assuming they'll correct that. And I don't, I tried, dude, I tried so hard to tell people, man, and I got so much shit for this. I'm sorry. I don't mean to make it about me and what I said. I don't mean to do that, but it's just, it really does kind of pop into my mind where it's like, I tried so hard to tell people when Microsoft was buying Activision Blizzard, I was like, listen, I kind of thought that them buying Bethesda, all right, kind of makes sense. You guys really feel like that's what you need to compete and to really stand a chance? Fine. It's Bethesda. They're, have some of the biggest IP in the world. All right. Didn't see that one coming. But once they made it clear that we're going to buy Activision Blizzard, I tried to tell people, like, guys, they don't know what they're doing. Like, they are totally devoid of any true creativity or passion for what this is. Like, it's just, it's a husk, bro. Like, it's as hollow can get. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there's just nothing but sheer heart and soul in everything Sony Nintendo does. I'm not saying that. There is a lot of hollowness to it as well. It is business at the end of the day. But it's like, dude, Microsoft is making it clear. Like, I tried to tell people, like, do you see how desperate they're on their hands and knees fucking begging for this company, because they are convinced we are fucking toast if we don't get Call of Duty, if we don't get King. We're fucking toast. And I tried to tell people, like, this is the company you want to cheer on? Like, I get it. They're going to give you a good deal, but really think about what gaming is about, man. And I tried to encourage people, like, what drew you to games? What brought you to video games? Do you know what did? The fucking quality experiences you had growing up. That's what drew you into the gaming world. And I don't think there's anything wrong where you become an adult and you think about value, you think about saving money. I get that, but just try to look past that and see that this company doesn't fucking know anything about that. And anything they may have known about it is long gone. That's just the fucking way it is, dude. It is. It's sad. It's actually very sad, because people even try to remind, like, people tell me, like, bro, you can't even reference Halo as a Microsoft property because they bought that too. And I honestly forget about that. I'm like, holy shit, you're right. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but look at what happened. They couldn't even maintain Halo. I think it's comical that anybody thinks Microsoft is going to know what the fuck to do with Call of Duty. That shit is comical. Especially now. Like, people are like, hey man, yeah, come on, Microsoft, get Call of Duty. Yeah, good fuck it. Guess what? They don't even have a development team for 2025's Call of Duty. They didn't have a developer working on it. Yeah, good luck, Microsoft. Good fucking luck. And I feel sorry for the fan base of Call of Duty as well, because they have maybe some of them know. I think some of them do know. But all you got to do is take one good hard look at Halo and not look. If you enjoy Halo Infinite, I'm not throwing shade at you. Maybe it is good now. But I'm just saying what it could have been, how it should have been managed. I think even the most hardcore Halo fan can agree, like, it hasn't been ideal. I think that's an objective thing. Like, it has not been ideal. It's been through the fucking ringer. And it's like, I don't get it, man. Like, I just don't get I don't get what people want at this point. I'll be glad to see fucking Game Pass fucking collapse, dude. I will. Not because it's like, oh, I don't want you to fucking save money, but because it's become pretty clear that the whole Game Pass bullshit that Microsoft has been feeding everybody, yeah, this isn't the future of video games because it can't be, because it makes no fucking sense. Doesn't make sense from the development level, doesn't make sense from the fucking publishing level, doesn't even make sense from the consumer level, where the consumers over here being like, yo, this seems a little too good to be true, because it is. I would love to know if the rumors are true that basically studios inside of Microsoft are getting angry because they're like, we want to make more money. We want our bonuses. Game Pass doesn't give us sales bonuses. Sales give us sales bonuses. This is coming from MBG, PhD in gaming. Hey man, you don't need to have a so-called PhD in gaming to fucking just point out the obvious. Because that's all I'm doing. That's all it is. And it's annoying, man. It's just so I just hope people don't fall for the bullshit again. People seemingly woke up real quick with these rumors. Like, they woke the fuck up and they're like, oh my God, okay, I see what's going on now. And I hope you maintain that, because Microsoft's going to do everything they can to convince you otherwise on Thursday. And it's just not the case, man. It's just not the case. CISP21, you're saying VR is hardware. Hardware is necessary to innovate. I agree. I want to continue to see hardware. I would love to see Xbox go back to the traditional model. They definitely won't. I would love to see that, though. That would be so sick if they were like, you know what? We're going back to our roots. We're making a... Yeah, what was that, boss? Some fucking loud crashing sound outside. There's always some kind of weird ass sound at some point over the course of my stream. Yeah, you guys see that? Boss was like, yo. But I would love to see Microsoft go back and just be like, yo, we're going back to our roots. We got all these studios. We got all these games. I bet you Microsoft could be the console market leader. At least get much closer to doing so if they actually made all these games exclusive to their console. People would go out and buy them. People would buy their consoles in droves. But they won't do that. They're too far gone now. They can't go back to that. And I'm not necessarily advocating against them not going third party. I'm just saying it's like, I just think that this kind of in-between fantasy of Game Pass will do it. It's like, I don't think so. Am I streaming Thursday? Yeah, if everything goes according to plan, then yeah, I'll be streaming Thursday. Definitely. Oh, really quick, I meant to read some of the replies from the Xbox business update post on Twitter. It's got over 2,000 replies. People are a lot less interested now. At least it seems that way. Pio says, why Xbox should still make exclusives and not go multi-platform. Makes Xbox fans have faith and happy. Okay, I'm gonna say right now, I don't think that's on the list of things that Microsoft is on their priority list right now. I don't think that's at the top of their priorities list. Just being honest. I mean, he's like kind of not wrong, but it just is so funny to see that laid out that way. Point number 2, competes with Sony more equals better games for everyone. I mean, I agree with the competition standpoint, but what has Microsoft been making that's competing with Sony? I'm sorry, excuse me, what? I don't. Point number 3, competition equals brings out the best in everyone. It certainly has not brought out the best of Microsoft, bro. This is the most upvoted reply by far. And the fourth point is not a huge blow for the people who invested into the ecosystem. Dude, okay, all right, reality check. Why Xbox should still make exclusives and not go multi-platform. Makes Xbox fans have faith and happy. I promise you, Xbox can still do that to a certain portion of the fan base without having exclusives. All Phil has to do is continue to add them on Xbox and feed them the marketing. They can still have that. Competes with Sony more equals better games for everyone. Listen, Microsoft already gave that up with Game Pass. See, this is exactly what I mean. This is where people don't get it, dude. Like, how can you not understand at this point? When Microsoft said you can get our games for $10, for as low as $1, just to get in the door. $1, $1 please. Please come play our games for just a fucking dollar. We're begging you. And that's still not enough. Why do you think that is? Because people look at Microsoft's games, or they have for years, and they're like, that's not the shit we want, dude. Or that's not nearly as universally appealing or interesting. It's just not up to snuff. So I don't understand how anybody could say that if Microsoft continues to make exclusives, they're going to be more competitive in game development. No, they're not. Matt Booty straight up said, like, yeah, we're focused on AA game development to feed Game Pass. That is the antithesis of what Sony's doing. Sony's like, yeah, we're focused on AAA game development, even more so to sell even more consoles, because that's what the market seems to be telling us they want. Point number 3, competition equals brings out the best in everyone. Listen, I don't disagree with this point as it is, where it's like, yes, that's true. Competition brings the best out in everyone, but there's also just the harsh reality that, you know, there's different leagues and different levels of competition. Because when it's like, you know, it's just like anything else, man. Like, you can't expect to just throw an amateur player into the pro leagues and, you know, there's every chance that they're just going to crumble, because it's just two different leagues, man. It's like, they're not the same. They're just not the same. They're different levels of competition that have totally different requirements and expectation. And I think it's pretty clear that Xbox has just been operating on a lower level for a long time. Like, and I want to make that clear, because people were saying, like, dude, people were saying that I was kind of wrong, or if not wrong, like missing the point with Microsoft and competition, where I've said over and over again that, dude, Xbox has not been competing with Sony. And I guess people were saying, like, well, listen, man, they may not be the strongest competition, but they, you know, Microsoft is the reason why maybe Sony made almost said Game Pass, PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium, and, you know, why they did this and did that and a couple things. And it's like, okay, you're right. And I want to give credit where it's due. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not advocating for there to be zero competition between Sony and Microsoft. I'm just saying competition where it counts the most has been almost non-existent. The most. To be clear, where it counts the most, it has been like non-existent, you know? And I don't know, man. It's just crazy that people still don't really see that, but okay. I will say that was a very entertaining response. Let me see what people said to this. Why Xbox? Oh, so somebody actually had a retort, and they said why Xbox should go multi-platform. Game Pass will insanely increase its game catalog. What? Hold on, what? Am I missing something? I feel like that doesn't. Dude, this person has almost 200 upvotes. 200 people agree with this. What does he mean? Like, what? How? Okay, hold on. Maybe he means I'm really fucking God. I'm giving these people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he meant Microsoft will be able to buy more publishers and offer more games in the Game Pass. I don't, dude. Twitter's so stupid. Twitter's so fucking stupid, man. It's crazy how stupid Twitter is. Don't get me wrong. Like, you can go to any of these websites and find some dumb shit, but I don't know. I can only assume he means Microsoft will be able to buy more publishers. That's the only thing I can imagine that makes any sense. You're saying, yeah, that's what he meant? We'll just go with that for the sake of us all. Jeff B. Gaming with the super chat says Xbox is the Knicks and PlayStation is the Warriors. Both are in the NBA and gaming. The Warriors aren't concerned to compete with the Knicks. I'm not really into basketball, so I wish I could have the deeper understanding of that analogy. Like, I understand it, obviously, but I wish I would be I was more familiar with these teams to be able to fully grasp it and feel the weight of that analogy. But Jeff B. Gaming, I appreciate that, bud. The second point he puts here is Xbox will increase its income by a lot, focusing on being a game publisher rather than being a console manufacturer. Yeah, that's obvious. I don't know how that benefits. I guess that can benefit the gamer, yeah. Microsoft stops losing money making consoles. Okay. Everyone will get to play Xbox games. Well, that's the most obvious one. Y'all stupid fanboys will finally stop crying over games and start enjoying them as it should be. PlayStation will be pushed to take the same route and is also publishing even more games to compete with Microsoft. This is what the future should be. Everyone can play any game. See, what this person... I get what this person's trying to say here, but it's like I take umbrage with this notion that, oh, if you care about exclusives for a console, then you're just a fanboy. It's like, or maybe, just maybe, there's always been a little extra something that's had to go into these games. Like, maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Microsoft can prove me wrong. We'll see. What I think is kind of silly though is the guy's trying to make it sound like what's so dumb about this is he's making it seem like if Microsoft does this, we will see a new future for gaming. Everything will be perfect. It's like, what the fuck are you like? No. Like what makes a person believe that Sony is going to see Microsoft go multi-platform and Sony's going to say, we should do that too? What the fuck is going on in people's minds right now, dude? Like, have you not met Sony? Have you not watched Sony to any capacity for the past, 5 generations of console? Like, don't get me wrong, if you're talking long-term. But this is the thing. Though. You're saying more money. They're already doing that. Dude, with games like Helldivers and their back catalog going to PC. Listen, what people cannot accept here, this is it. It just does not get any simpler than this. What people cannot accept is Sony doesn't fucking need Xbox. Sony doesn't need Xbox. Sony is just fine. They've been fine. They've never needed Xbox. They don't need them. However, Xbox needs not just Sony now. They need Nintendo. This guy is literally more concerned about Microsoft making more money than he seemingly is about actual competition. Hate to break it to people, but that utopia you're describing, good luck trying to find any meaningful competition there. Seriously, good luck. It's insane. It's fucking insane how people, they just jump. They go from, I don't think Microsoft should have exclusives. And then they jump to, because we can have a utopia. It's like, oh, of course. Like ignoring everything that would have to occur to even, for that to even be a reality. It's just, these people are, I don't know why the fuck I'm reading this shit, dude. Oh my God. Like, why am I reading this shit? I'm reading Brain Rot. This guy says, I love his name. His name is Super Black Nerd Gaming. He says, Xbox hasn't been competition for Sony since they entered the market. If anything, Nintendo is what's keeping Sony on their toes, trying to figure out innovative ways to bring their games to audiences, such as the rumored handhelds. I don't know why this competes with Sony more statement keeps getting passed around. Sony is dog-walking Xbox and has been since the PS2 era. Even in Sony's lowest selling PlayStation home console, they still ended up outselling Xbox. Thank you. Somebody gets it. And this person says it does, in fact, force Sony to get better. And proceeds to not explain. But, dude, that guy's not wrong. Like, Nintendo is legitimately, at this point in time, putting more pressure on Sony than Microsoft is. How many upvotes? He got about 106 upvotes, so some people are paying attention. Look, and here's the thing. Here's what people need to realize. Like, it's not me saying Microsoft, or even this guy, he didn't say it. We're not saying Microsoft should go third party. We're not saying that. People are saying they probably are. It makes sense why they would, but in reality, it's like, it honestly goes back to the super chat I got earlier where like, dude, if I fucking wanted these games, I would have came and played them. Sorry. Don't know what to tell you, Microsoft. Like, if you fucking made the games we wanted to play, we would be there playing them. Like, it just comes down to that. That's all it comes down to. Like, everybody's assuming that this is going to, like, save Xbox's gaming business if they do this, right? Like, this is going to just make everything perfect. Or if not perfect, it's going to make them more money. Like, dude, has anybody thought, what if these games don't sell jack fucking shit? And we're going to find out. We're going to fucking find out, dude. I am so excited to see some Xbox games come to PlayStation and Nintendo because I'm dying to know, are they going to sell? Because it fucks the Xbox fan base either way. If it doesn't sell, well, you're fucked because it turns out what people said this whole time is unequivocally true. People don't want these games, therefore they're not buying them. Sorry. If they do buy the games, if they do sell incredibly well, the Xbox fan base is still fucked because you guys didn't buy the games. Not enough of you guys bought the games. Now we're doing our part now. Fuck, man. At that point, PlayStation and Nintendo were going to be saving Xbox. I sound like a bitter ex. Well, as long as you're here listening, I don't care how I sound. I see what you did there, though. That's clever. You sound like a bitter ex. That's a good one. Good shit, dude. We have all right, let's see if I can pronounce this. Shivanshu Prasad. I think I did pretty good on that one. It's like I actually just destroyed that man's name. I'm assuming you're a man. You're saying here exclusives justifies my purchase. Nintendo does it. TV streaming apps does it. Apple does it. When did exclusives become bad? Did Sega change gaming? Exclusives were never bad. There's just a really fucking annoying group of like vocal gamers on the internet that are like, there'd be no exclusive. Like, can you just shut the fuck up? Like, seriously. Like, you're pestering everybody. Just buy your fucking games you want to play, dude. Because you're absolutely, like, that's the thing. Like, people don't seem to understand that this is at the heart of competition. Exclusivity is at the heart of competition. Because you know what? It's like, if you don't have the fucking, if you can't buy the good shit, If you can't buy the good shit because maybe it's not available for sale, then you have to make the good shit. And God forbid you have to make the good shit because you got to get good to make the good shit. All these things go fucking, they're all intertwined with one another. And I'm telling you, the people that are like, exclusives are bad for gaming and we shouldn't have exclusives, they're just weak fucking people who don't understand the nature of our reality on this planet. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, they're just weak people who think that everything should be a fucking little handout and we should all be fucking holding hands, you know, and just like frolicking in the fields. And it's like, yeah, I would love that, but that's not real. So please grow the fuck up. Understand that this is how it's got to be. These are competing platforms. They're going to do what they got to do to fucking win. It's as simple as that. It's like asking it's like watching the Super Bowl that just happened and be like, well, what if at the end no one wins? We all celebrate and both coaches get to talk and we get to hear from both sides. That's not how it goes. I don't make the fucking rules. And frankly, nobody does. We're just born into this shit. God, these people are fucking ridiculous, bro. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm not saying we got to go cutthroat 24/7, step on their neck. No, it doesn't have to be all that all the time. But just this to even entertain the notion that all these different companies and all these different platform holders and all these different console manufacturers and all these different development teams are just going to shake hands with one another and say, you know what? I'm not competing with you. Sorry. I don't need exclusives and you should do the same. It's just, no. It's totally unrealistic. It's totally unreasonable, and it's delusional. It's delusional. That's all it is. Man, that super chat really got me going, huh? Get my second wind here. Really quick, Neutral Zone, you're saying you are contradicting yourself because you say Xbox hasn't been competing for decades, but want Xbox to go third party. So to be clear, I did say earlier, that I would love it if Microsoft said, you know what, we're going back to our roots and we're going to, maybe you weren't here when I said this, Neutral Zone. I said not that long ago, and my chat can back me up on this, that I would love to see Microsoft just say, you know what, we're going back to our roots. We're taking all these studios we got, all these games we got, and we're going to fucking compete because now we can. Because we have so many games and we're going to try to make the best games and we're going to try to sell as many consoles as we can. I've always tried to tell people that this race to the fucking bottom, because that's exactly what this shit sounds like, where it's like, we should all, like, when I hear people say shit, it's like, we should all just have access to games. We shouldn't have to pay for anything. We should just have access to it. It's like, do you understand what will happen to the quality of your video games? Like, do you have any idea, like, what's going to happen? It's going to be real fucking bad. Like, real bad. I've tried to explain to people that having expensive-ass consoles, and by expensive-ass consoles, I mean $400, $500 consoles, even $300 in some cases, creating that ecosystem, creating that user interface, and then tasking teams of developers to say, we got to sell this shit to millions of people. Okay? We need this console, this device that we're making to appeal to not just 5, 10, 15, 20 million, but to 50 plus million people, potentially 100 plus million people. So get on that. Now, if you're a developer and you're saying, well, we got to make a game that looks so good and so exciting and has such a high quality bar that it's going to convince a person to say, well, maybe I'll go spend $500 to buy this console. Right? Now, granted, I get what somebody's going to say. They say, well, the majority of people, or not the majority, but a lot of people are not buying these consoles for exclusives. Then what are they buying them for? It's the trickle down effect, man. Like the first like, let me ask you, who are the first people to adopt the new console hardware? Who are the first people? You're saying GTA, FIFA players? You think so? I don't think so. I think it's fairly obvious that the first people who are going to buy the newest hardware are the diehard fans. The ones who absolutely are like, Sony, what do you got for me, bro? What do you got for me? You need proof of this? Dude, look at how many people bought the Xbox Series X at launch with no games. Because they're like, yo, new Xbox, let's go. Dude, you got to be a fucking hardcore ass fan to buy a new Xbox with no new games. Straight up. You do. And notice how their fucking sales fell off a cliff. Their sales fell off a cliff because they didn't have games after that, really. Guess what? Sony's reaching... People have tried to shit on Sony and make it sound like Sony has a fucking weak-ass, bitch-ass lineup for the first, like, half of 2024. It's like, not sure what you're smoking there, friend, but this is, like, one of the stronger lineups. Sure, maybe not from their studios directly, but they got those exclusives, dude. Like, they got their shit covered. And they're selling consoles. Who would have thought? That's on top of the third-party shit. I'm just saying that, like, it trickles down, man, where the most hardcore diehard fans buy the consoles first, and they buy these consoles because they're sold on these consoles by the company. The company sells you on it. If not games you're going to get day one, games you're going to get down the pipeline. So they buy these consoles, and of course they buy the third-party games. That's a given. And then at that point, it starts working its way outward, or again, trickling down, where it's like, okay, maybe the gaming enthusiast or whatever, you know, where they're not like the most diehard fan, but they're an enthusiast. We're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to upgrade now too. I don't care about every exclusive, but I pay attention to some of them. And then it just slowly starts to make their way. And, you know, that's just how it's always went, man. That's just the way it's always gone. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. To me, at the heart of that is there has to be a hard sell. It's a hard sell. Like, we got to sell these guys. How do we sell them on this console? Not in some kind of cheap, like, pull the wool over their eyes type shit. I mean, really sell it. And we got Chris B.
Thank you.
Chris B coming in, dropping a 10 bomb on us, guys. Chris B, my man, thank you so much. Didn't see that one coming, bro. He's keeping the membership train rolling today, bringing us up to 46 members, guys. We are just 4 members away from hitting the coveted 50 members. And you know, when we hit 50, well, I think you all know what that means at this point. And if you don't know, well, you're going to find out. Chris B, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate the support. It means a lot, dude. Laurent knows. New Soul 9, you're saying, MBG, I think you should consider to understand that competition can still exist without exclusives because there are teams that want to have the pride of saying, I made that and be recognized for something that they made. I absolutely agree, New Soul 9. But here's the thing. There are too many people, and this gets into a more philosophical kind of situation. I'm not going to go too deep in that, but I was listening to some David Goggins earlier. Maybe that's why I'm so fucking jacked up today. There are too many people that don't give a shit about the idea of competing with yourself. Because I love what you're putting down. I love it. Like, that is the heart and soul of a person, right? Where it's like, compete with yourself. Get better against yourself. That's how you become the best at anything. There's no denying that the people, like, if you look at like sports players or just anybody who is like, executing on something in such a hyper specific way at such a high level, dude, they're not competing with anybody but themselves. They're locked in. Like, don't get me wrong, they are paying attention, and maybe they're using that external competition as motivation, but they're not competing with anybody but themselves because they have a standard, they have an expectation, and there are just not enough people that are willing to have that type of mentality because it's fucking hard and painful. Truth be told, it is. It's difficult to compete with yourself because you're doing the opposite of comforting yourself, of saying to yourself, you know what, it's okay, man. This is good enough. Most people, realistically, are going to turn to themselves and say, I think this is good enough. I put a lot in it. And it's like, this is where external competition sometimes is needed. It is. It's just needed where somebody's got to come in, somebody who's better than you at that thing, whatever it might be. And you see, holy shit, okay, I thought I was doing good. I thought I put in enough, but I'm seeing what that person's doing, and they're leapfrogging me. How do I get to where that person is? To whereas if that doesn't exist, if they don't see that in front of them, right? Most people are just going to look at what is in front of them, which is, hey, this is what I did, and I think it's good enough. I'm happy with it. And it, kind of gets into this philosophical debate where it's like, what do we tell ourselves, right? When is enough enough? Like, when are you not doing enough? And I didn't mean for it to get this philosophical, but this is what it boils down to. Like, when you think about development teams, I don't doubt that there are a ton of super passionate developers that are trying to compete with themselves, right? And trying to be the absolute best they can, but but it is a team effort at the end of the day. You can be a star player of a sports team and be one of the best in the league, but it doesn't mean you're going to win necessarily. It doesn't mean you're going to be on you're not going to be part of one of the best teams. And so there just has to be, there's so much to it. I guess what I'm trying to say here, New Soul 9, is I don't think it's as simple as saying there should be no competition externally, or there should only be internal competition with the individual self, right? I think it's like when you look at, for example, a game like God of War 2018, where like that game just fucking blew everybody away. Like there was just, it started with maybe one or a couple of individuals who just decided this has to be like one of the best things ever. It just has to be. Like, not because somebody, like, I don't think Sony approached Cory Barlog and said, hey, this next God of War you're making, make sure it's like one of the best things ever made. Thanks. No, like, of course, there's that, we're spending a lot of money on this, please make a good game. Like, that is the unspoken agreement, or maybe directly spoken agreement between any video game development team and a publisher. Like, just please make a good game. That's what we want from you. And it's up to that publisher to make sure that they can give the resources necessary and be hands-on enough when they have to be hands-off enough when they have to be to make that happen. But it really starts, the heart of it, at one or a couple of individuals who say, we have to make one of the best things ever. Not to destroy or take down anything else, but because that's what we want to do. And then what you have to do at that point is find a whole team of people that have that same exact feeling that you do. Doesn't really matter what they're driven by. They just have to have the same goal. And then you have to manage that and execute on it. And I guess in some cases, hope that it comes together the way that you want it to. And this is a tough thing, because here's the thing. I am very hard on Microsoft. You guys know this, and I make jokes sometimes, and I play into the jokes that you guys make where it's like, Microsoft fucking sucks. They can't make games for shit. And the truth is, though, like, I don't know that it is a part of that where it's like, yeah, they just are lacking something. They are just lacking something, man. And they had to go buy that shit. What they thought was the thing that they were lacking. But I just think that, man, it's gotten so difficult, like, truthfully, where it's like, my question is, why do people think that Microsoft, if they start putting their games on PlayStation or Switch, that just means they're going to be a more, like, that's going to bring more competition to PlayStation Studios? How? The only thing that was ever going to potentially bring more competition to PlayStation's internal studios and Sony as a whole is if Microsoft had an answer for The Last of Us Part 2, had an answer for God of War, had an answer for Horizon, had an answer for Ghost of Tsushima, right? Had an answer for Uncharted, had an answer for Ratchet and Clank, really, had an answer for Returnal. Spider-Man. I mean, and people might point out some of these games where it's like, well, there's Forza and Flight Simulator. And it's like, okay, maybe somebody will say, well, hey, look at Hellblade 2. And it's like, that's great, but is it $1 late or dollar late? Jesus. A day late and $1 short. Is it $1 late? Is it a day late and $1 short? And I'm, to be clear, I'm not the one being unfair about that because I'm not saying that. Microsoft might be the one saying that, man. Like, Microsoft might be the one coming out and being like, yeah, we do have Hellblade now, but we still got to go third party. It took too long. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, and even then, I'll be honest, like, it's no offense to Hellblade 2. I think it looks great, but I still don't think, I don't know if Hellblade is going to be looked at as the answer to like God of War or The Last of Us or The Last of Us 2. I don't know that it will. And even if it was, it's one game. And I think Hellblade could be a 10 out of 10. I don't think it's going to be enough to carry the load. And I've tried to tell people that, like, dude, Sony and Microsoft are on two different paths. Like, you're not going to see Sony make a game like Avowed. And to some people, that sounds like a bad thing. Like, oh, I want to see a game like Avowed made by Sony. And it's like, I get that. You want a different type of game, but that's not Sony's ambition. That's not their goal. If Sony were to make a game like Avowed, it would be like triple A. You'd see so much triple anus resonating from that game. You know? Like, it wouldn't look like Avowed. It just wouldn't. I don't know. It's different strokes for different folks, you know? Like, I'm a believer in that, but I just think that the market has kind of spoken, man. And I think the market says that they want diversity. Yes. The market says that they want variety. Yes. The market will support all different genres of games. Yes. But I think generally speaking, the market has also made it clear, like, we want our big fucking heavy hitter blockbusters, right? We want that triple anus, and we want it. We want that triple anus to be as big as it can be. That's what we want, and we'll support it. We'll buy that shit. We'll buy that triple anus. I think generally speaking, that is very clearly what the market has said. And you're going to see a lot of different triple anus out there. But unfortunately, not all the triple anus will be able to win. There are going to be some triple anuses that lose. And that's just how it goes. And I guess maybe getting back to what New Soul 9 said, maybe, just maybe, that's where it lies. Where you're saying that it's about studios competing with themselves. Well, if a studio gets so immersed in their own thing, they might lose sight of the fact that, like, you've been lapped like 3 times, dude. You know what I mean? Like, by the time you finally finish one lap, you've already been lapped 3 times by like a couple of other publishers out there and a couple of other development studios. Man, what the hell am I even saying at this point? Big, wide, triple anus. That's why we go to Sony. That's why I love this community. Because I love this community because you guys understand me. I know that everybody here understands every single word that just came out of my mouth. Like, even if you don't fully understand it, there's just somewhere in your subconscious, you're putting it together, you know? All right, we have Shivanshu Prasad, and he says, everyone forgets how many exclusives full/timed the 360 had, especially the beginning of that generation. But the roles are reversed, and now it's bad. You're not wrong. Listen, see, you're pointing out the reality that it's not bad, dude, and it never has been. It's just Microsoft got lapped, dude. That's all it is, and the fan base had to watch that shit happen. They had to watch their preferred brand and console and ecosystem get lapped. And what Microsoft did is they said, well, we're going to fucking change the rules. All right. It's not a fucking race. You know, we're just going to change the rules. When I say lapped, I'm just like kind of, I'm just saying if we're looking at it in terms of it's a race, who's going to come in first. That's what I mean. And, it's just Microsoft fell so far behind. It's like that you're like there's not much they can do. So I don't fault Microsoft for feeling like they have to change the rules. But where things got messy, in my opinion, is when Microsoft decided to go on the assault. And as they were changing the rules, and again, changing the rules comes in the form of we are doing we are doing Game Pass. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing. I'm sorry, forgive me. I'm losing my composure here. Microsoft said we are doing things like Game Pass. We are going to give you all of our first-party games right into Game Pass. We are embracing PC. We're doing all these things that no one else is doing and are kind of unheard of. You guys like that? And then they really leaned into that with the fan base. They got the fan base to really pump that up, to really market that. And, it's just like the reality is the fan base, the hardcore fan base, the ones that are really upset right now, or the ones that really kind of, I guess Microsoft just broke with these rumors and not addressing them properly. They would absolutely love to see Microsoft do what Sony is doing right now. Make no mistake. Like, that is the important thing to understand, is that the Xbox fan base loved the 360. And that was part of the reason they loved it, is because Microsoft was out here saying, yo, you guys want exclusives? We're going to get you exclusives. You want timed exclusives? We're going to get you them. You want some first party? We're going to get you some first party. Right? Like they played the game by the traditional rules and they were winning. And it was easy for them to play the game by the traditional rules when they were winning. And it was easy for the fan base to, don't you do it. It was easy for the fan base to get behind it because it's like, yeah, this is great. We're winning. And when I say winning, I don't mean like we're beating Sony. It's just more like I bought an Xbox 360 and Microsoft's buying all this shit and giving it to me. This is great. And here we go. Hello, boss. Have you come to enlighten us? No, you've just come to immediately chew my microphone again. This is the one thing I can't get him to stop. Get down. Come on, get down. Get down, boss. No. Don't you chew that microphone. Boss, let go. Let go. You're going to break it. I see somebody in the chat saying he wants snuggles. All right, I'll prove to you. Well, maybe he does. Let's see. All right, boss. Just chill. The MBG and Boss show. What's that, boss? You want to see us get to 50 members so I can do some lifting? Yeah, me too. I got to do some, I feel like I got to do more overhead presses. But anyway, Shivanshu, thank you so much for the super chat, man. We also have Cobb Sanity saying, Phil in 2020, we are in competition with Google and Amazon. I mean, I understand why Phil said that, but like, I don't even think that's true anymore, dude. Right? Like, what are Google and Google Stadia? You kidding me? What about what's Amazon doing in gaming? Did he say that because he felt like that it was an easy win for them? No. It's the Boss and MBG show. Ah, there you go. That's true. I'm gonna like come out all the way out here so you can't chew my microphone, boss. How about that? Yeah, I don't think Microsoft was ever really truly competing with Google or Amazon in the gaming space for the simple fact that I don't think Google or Amazon were ever really competing in the gaming space. And to me, that was always such a Corey says curtain slurping. Oh my God, dude. That is, I'm not going to forget that term anytime soon. That is exactly what I'm going to refer to it as going forward when boss is chewing the curtains or licking the curtains. That's amazing. Now you just got to come up with a term for when he's biting the mic. And we got Laurent. Laurent comes in. He does it. He brings it home. He drops, boss, please, you're going to break that. He drops 5 more membership gifts. He gets us to 51. He does it. Boss, I'm trying to see this, man. I gotta add this. Laurent, thank you so much. All right, boss. What do you want? What is it you want? Do you want attention? You guys know what that means. Laurent knows what that means. Dude, Mrs. MBG is losing her mind right now over some of the terminology we're using today. Between the triple anus talk and now curtain slurping. What is going on with us, guys? What is going on with us? Our test is too high. That's what it is. Our testosterone levels are too high here. Put in the work, MBG. We're going to do it. So I brought up my 30-pound dumbbells. Hold on. Bro, you are like attacking my mic. Let's go. Bad, boss. Bad. I'm gonna break this shit. So, dude, I'm not bringing the 50-pound dumbbells anywhere near my desk. Something will get smashed and destroyed. I don't want to hurt boss either. Accidentally. Am I natural? I am. Yeah, I don't take any type of enhancements or anything. If I did, I would tell you guys about it. I have like you could tell. I think you could tell I'm natural though. I'm not I'm like shredded. I'm not like shredded or anything like that or like massive or anything crazy. Drop 50 pounds on my Xbox. Drop test stream. Not worth the health risks. I agree with that. Yeah, that's something I've never really was into. I inject rant juice. I want to do the reps, but boss is kind of in my way here. Boss, bro. No roids? No roids. Not on the juice. I'm only on the rant juice. I've been taking a lot more protein lately, though. Been trying to eat more protein. Taking my protein powder every day. Do reps with boss. I would if I wasn't afraid he would like fucking get really angry and attack me. He definitely would attack me. Maybe not attack me, but he would just get like really. He would do that thing where it's like he just start like kind of biting my hand or attacking my hand and be like, get off of me. Why is he sitting in front of the camera? That's what he does, dude. Sometimes now he wants to come hang out. You guys are going to have to wait a minute here. I got to do my reps at some point, but now boss decided he wants to be on my lap. I have to wait for him to leave. Gotta get that protein. He's like, boss wants my attention. He always wants. Well, he doesn't always want my attention, but when he does, he definitely makes it known. Don't worry. I'll get in some reps, Laurent. Don't worry. You guys know. I'm good for it. Boss knows he's on TV. He probably does, dude. Well, it's interesting. You're saying boss is so small. I think boss is deceptive looking sometimes. There are certain times. It depends on like how he's positioned, because there are times where he looks massive. Like if he's like elongated, he looks huge. And sometimes when he's kind of like bunched up, kind of like how he is now, he can look pretty small. But he's I think he's bigger than he looks on the camera, truthfully. That's funny though. Boss learned how to blade while in CQC training. Yeah, boss is a master of CQC. That's why I don't mess with him. All right, let me see. I'm just checking to see if there's any other news that has come out as we were having this discussion. New report. Okay, I'm not even reading that shit. Oh, by the way, did you guys see that Deadpool 3 trailer? I thought the Deadpool 3 trailer was actually awesome, but man, I was kind of disappointed that they didn't actually show Wolverine. Like they teased him. Maybe not all that surprising when you think about it though. It looks pretty good. A lot of you guys don't care. I really want to see Wolverine. It looks pretty good. Siobhan Chu, again, with another super chat. Really appreciate it, buddy. You're saying here, how come no one bitches at Nintendo for their exclusives, even if they make many timed third-party deals too? It seems exclusives are only bad for Sony. I think it's because when people think of Sony, PlayStation, there's, in terms of like direct competition, it was always kind of viewed as like, oh, that's Microsoft, or at least ever since Microsoft entered the fray, it was always kind of viewed as like, oh, what's Microsoft doing? What's Sony doing? Like if Sony's doing this, you can kind of expect Microsoft's doing it. And I'll be honest, man, it's the marketing is what it is. If I had to guess, I think it's the marketing behind the different ways in which Microsoft and Sony are trying to sell people on their platforms. And Microsoft very much leaned into the like more friendly approach, right? Where it's like, we're not trying to, be the bad guys out here. We're not trying to be the villains of the story. We're pretty friendly. We just want you to come to Game Pass and we all play, we all win. When everybody plays, we all win. They just kind of leaned into this. And Sony was just like, well, we're just going to continue to lean into the way that we've done things, which is, yeah, here are a bunch of timed third-party exclusives. Here's a bunch of first-party exclusives. Here's a bunch of hardware, right? I just think that's all it really comes down to. Even when Sony announced PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium, like, if there was ever a time you thought Sony would have felt the pressure of like, oh man, but it's not going to be as good as Game Pass. It's not going to be as good as Game Pass. I remember that's what everybody was saying, because Sony's not going to put their games day one into it. And like, Sony was just like, yup, we're not. So please subscribe to it if you want. And I know it's like some people tried like really hard to make it seem like that's a bad thing. And it's like, it's not though. Like they're still trying to do something in this space, but they're not gonna destroy their sales model and their, how they're able to develop these big budget games and make a profit on them. Like, why would they just destroy that? This is why I have been completely against Microsoft and Game Pass for like forever now. This is why, because it's like, it probably still will be annoying. It's been so annoying to see so many people like cheering, like they don't know what they're cheering on. And I'm not saying they have to know. I get it. Like the more casual gamer, again, who's just trying to get the better deal and save their money. It's not that I like want to place the blame on them so much, because I get it. Like you're kind of on the outside looking in. The marketing is very effective on you because you don't really care how deep it goes. You just want to play some good games and you want to have a variety of games and you want to do so at a low price point. I get that. I fault the people who do know, the people who are paying attention and they're still getting behind it. It's like, you guys have to see that like this is not sustainable. Like this is going to ruin like game development, man. Like, are you kidding me? At least to a certain extent it will, because it's not going to work. I get it. It's like, we just need 100 million subs. We just need 80 million subs. And it's like, but how do you think you're going to get there? You're only going to get a high number of subscribers by offering something really top tier and prestigious, like a must have over and over and over again. And it turns out that doing that is very expensive and very risky. And I don't know, man. There was that. Remember those reports that claimed that Halo Infinite was like a $500 million, had like a $500 million budget or some shit? I mean, everybody always acts like they're so, not everybody, but some people act like they're so concerned about Microsoft's money. And it's like, what Microsoft should be concerned about is the same thing, regardless of how much money they have. They have to be concerned about the same thing that every other video game publisher needs to be concerned about, which is sustainability, practicality, and sustainability. And unfortunately, Game Pass putting games day one onto Game Pass goes against both of those things, especially the sustainability part. So it all comes back. This is why, man. I feel like this is what this entire conversation that we've had today hinges around. It is like, I'm so truly fascinated. I'm invested in this way more than most other people are. I am so truly fascinated to see and witness what the conversations on the internet look like after Thursday. I understand that it first and foremost hinges on what exactly they say, like confirm, what is or isn't happening. But beyond that, anything that is or isn't happening, it's the messaging and marketing behind it that'll make the biggest difference. And I guess I am prepared for, I hate to say it, but I am absolutely prepared for people to just pretend like last week didn't even happen. I'm prepared for people to just pretend that like, oh, everybody was stupid, like, even though Microsoft basically just confirmed at least half of that is true. You know what I mean? I really feel like that's what's going to happen. And I'm not I'm just making my stance as clear as I can, and I'm not wavering from this stance. Like, I will fucking die on this hill, where it's like Microsoft is either going third-party multi-platform or they are not. They either are or they aren't. And there is no in-between. And I view Sony on PC the same way, by the way. To be clear, that's why I'm willing to die on this hill, because people will likely bring something like that up. Well, like, do you feel the same way about Sony? Yes, I do. Once Sony said, we're releasing our games on PC, okay, now you are multi-platform now. You're not putting your games on rival consoles, but you are multi-platform. Now, granted, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging the nuance. To be clear, like if Microsoft explicitly says, some games, some future games will not be multi-platform, I'm going to have trouble believing that. I'm not going to believe that. I'll be like, that sounds like a lie, because I think eventually they will be multi-platform. Right? But I've already been down this road with Sony, where it's like, look, I know why Sony is not putting their games day one, their single player games day one on PC. I know why they're not doing it. Do you guys know why they're not doing it? I'm pretty sure you guys know too. Boss, listen, man, I love you, but you can't just sit in front of the camera like that. Come on. Let's go over here, okay? Come on. I put a whole seat for you here. There you go. The reason why Sony isn't putting their single player games day one, exactly. They're not putting their single player games day one onto PC because of console sales. And let me ask you, if console sales didn't matter to Sony, would they put their games day one on PC? Yes, they would. Because why wouldn't they? It will make them more money. And they would turn a better profit, or at least hopefully turn a profit. But that's the thing, is like, I've just tried. People are going to try. I'm assuming people are going to try so hard to convince themselves of things that are just not true. And this is, I think this is kind of like the final point I'll make here before I'll just leave this alone until Thursday. Or maybe I'll make a separate video on it. Boss, you are frustrating me, man. Keep it moving. I really don't know why he has to sit right there, man. Fucking A. Final point I'm going to make here for now. It's as simple as this. Everything that is happening right now with Microsoft is happening because, number one, they couldn't sell Xbox One consoles. Number two, they still can't sell Xbox Series X and S consoles. Number three, Game Pass numbers are not climbing anywhere near the rate at which they thought they would. And number four, in the midst of all of this, they've also conditioned their own fan base to basically not buy games. That's four major factors that have led to this moment. Now let's look at the other side with Sony. Sony had no trouble selling PS4 consoles. Sony is having no trouble selling PS5 consoles. Sony did not make their business model or hinge their business model around the subscription service. And Sony has conditioned their player base alongside literally every other video game publisher and platform holder to buy video games. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I can't make it any more clear. So this is why we're going to see Microsoft come out and say whatever they're about to say. Two completely different business strategies, business models. And I know that there are a lot of people, or at least some people, that are insisting like Sony's going to do the same thing. Sony's going to do the same thing. Listen, I've heard people say that exact same thing over and over again. Sony's going to put their games day one on PlayStation Plus. Sony's going to have to embrace the subscription model just like Microsoft. It's just a matter of time. Sony's going to, have to basically do all the things that Microsoft is doing. It's like, well, they might do some things, but the core difference between Sony and Microsoft simply lies at the heart of people spend money on Sony's platform. That's all it is. All right. Am I going to have to escort you out again? Huh? That's what I thought. That's what it is. I'm not saying that people aren't spending any money on Microsoft's platform, but it's way, way less. People are not, again, they're not spending money on the consoles. They're not spending money on the games. Here's another question. How many people are unsubbing from Game Pass? The whole idea of Game Pass is Microsoft needs to keep people locked in. What Sony needs to do is get somebody to buy a game like Spider-Man 2 or God of War Ragnarok, and then to get that same person to buy the next game a couple months later or 6 months later or a year later, whatever it might be. That's what, you see what I'm saying? And Sony realizes that it's actually not too hard. Well, it's not that it's not hard, but it turns out that if we just keep making big, exciting games with big budgets, right, that seem like they're really speaking to, I guess, the audience that is purchasing these types of games, then we can probably keep doing this. And they're right. It's still working for them. I think Spider-Man might be a little bit of an outlier because of the licensing with Disney and whatnot, but boss, I'm going to have to get you out of my room. He's knocking everything over on my desk. All right, hold on, guys. Come on, boss. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. We're just standing there. That's fine. That works too. He's not leaving. Boss is standing his ground right now. He just defied me in front of everybody. How dare you? How dare you humiliate me like this, boss? All right, maybe he'll be good now. Now he's looking like he wants to leave. Anyway, you're saying, you clown, bring him back. We have Shivanshu again. You're saying just tired of the double talk from Xbox. They said exclusives are bad, but want Xbox to make their games exclusive. They blame the PS4 error, but ignore the 360 error. Well, I know, man. And that's why I said it all comes down to the marketing, because the reality is the so-called Xbots or whatever, or these hardcore Xbox fanboys, they're just regurgitating what they hear Phil Spencer saying, what the marketing team, what Aaron Greenberg, what these people are saying. And it's very clear that Phil and his marketing team come up with these things and they lean into it and they try to convince people that yeah, this is the way it is. So I appreciate the super chat, man. We also have JD Gamer. You're saying more and more industry analysts and insiders are saying that because of the success of Helldivers, that PlayStation will be coming to PC day and date sooner than later. I mean, it makes total sense why industry analysts would come to that conclusion. Even I could, if you were to ask me, do I think this will make Sony maybe go day one on PC or day and date on PC with all their games? Yeah. I mean, Sony is a business, man. They're looking at this and they're like, damn, we got a lot of sales on PC here. We're making a lot of money. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that I don't believe. And I think that this is what, I've been following Sony long enough at this point where I feel confident in saying this as an analyst. I'm going to analyze Sony, right? I think it's a mistake to assume that Sony's just going to say, they're going to flip a switch and say, okay, now going forward, all of our games are dropping day one on PC. the reason I say this is because I don't think Sony's, based off of everything I've seen this generation so far, that's not really how they do this type of a thing. What they do is they test the water first. They kind of dip their toe in, and kind of maybe just hang around there a little bit to get a feel for it, to decide what they want to do next. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. I wouldn't be shocked. It really depends on how nervous I think Sony is about the negative impact to console sales. So we will use, God, man, what's the next single player PlayStation game? All this talk about what's going on with Xbox, still the reality that Sony doesn't really have any first party single player games announced right now. I guess we could just, I feel like there's Wolverine, but my God, is there? I guess we could use Death Stranding 2. We'll just use, I know it's not like I consider Death Stranding 2 like the closest thing to a first party game. Let's just use Death Stranding 2 because that's that to me is one that, as far as I'm aware, Death Stranding 2 is not announced for PC, right? But my question is Sony, if Sony were to say, we're going to drop Death Stranding 2 day one on PC alongside PS5, the question simply becomes, okay, how many people were going to buy PlayStation consoles because of this game, right? And they're now going to say, oh, well, I'm just going to pick it up on PC. But see, it's not that simple, though. And the reason why it's not that simple is because there's a difference between saying, here's one game that we're dropping day and date on PC. There's a difference between that and clearly communicating to your audience every game. And this is where I think Sony would be very I don't know. I think they would be very meticulous and almost secretive about the way they would handle it, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, Death Stranding 2 will drop day one on PC. And then somebody will ask Sony the question, okay, so does this mean all your games are dropping day one on PC? And they're just like, what? And then everybody's just kind of like, maybe they're going day and date, maybe they're not. And then what Sony will do is they'll analyze that data and maybe they'll say, okay, that actually worked. Let's do another one. And then let's just say, okay, Wolverine is going to drop day one on PC as well. And then by that point, no one's really going to ask Sony, are you doing day and date? Because people are just going to assume that, oh, you are now. But I could very much see Sony being the type of company as well where like they could do that. And then as soon as they see like a negative impact on their consoles, like, holy shit, we just released Wolverine on PC and our console sales target is nowhere near being met. They will probably look at something like that and be like, okay, we're not doing that again. No more. To me, Sony is kind of that, they're in that kind of category of being somewhat topsy-turvy with this type of stuff where, I don't know. What's really interesting to me is apparently Sony is working on their own PC launcher. To me, that gives us our answer that the end goal, the end game is day one on PC, but I do think Sony's going to try to do it their own way. Like, I don't think they're going to continue to embrace Steam necessarily in the same way that they are. Like, I don't know. Let's say Sony does release their own PC launcher by 2026 when Wolverine comes out, and they've also expanded PS Plus because apparently that's something else that Sony wants to do. They want to bring PS Plus to PC and other devices. But let's say they have their own PC launcher where PS Plus is on that, basically turning a PC into a console when you're on that launcher, giving you access to the PlayStation Store. I mean, I could kind of see that being the way in which they do it, which I don't know, man. The truth is, like, we just don't know it's hard to say how this will affect the PlayStation console. I wish I had a better idea. Like, I mean, people say, well, look at what happened to Xbox. And it's like, but I think it's kind of unfair, or at least it seems unfair to me, to assume that the Xbox console is having the sales struggle it's having right now because of their decision to put games on PC. I think it was Game Pass more than anything, not PC, to be honest. And there's just too many differences, you know? It really is too soon to say, where I could see it being disastrous for Sony on the other end of it, where it's like, if Sony really does still plan to sell X amount of consoles and they plan to leverage a game like Wolverine to sell X amount of consoles, I could seeing it backfire tremendously, where it's like, oh, we did release it day one on PC, and then holy shit, we only sold like half the amount of consoles that quarter that we were expecting. That would, to me, that would indicate that, like, yeah, I don't know, man. That was a system seller. So I guess what this really boils down to, truthfully, like the whole conversation about whether or not Sony will put their games day one on PC, it boils down to the whole concept and notion of a system seller. And like, what does that mean today? What is a system seller to Sony today? Do they view it that way? Do they view Death Stranding 2 as a system seller, right? I mean, whose decision was it to make Final Fantasy VII Rebirth a 3-month exclusive for just the console, where if you just wait till May, you'll be able to play it on PC? Was that Sony's decision? Was that Square's? I'm going to assume that was Square's, because I think if Sony, like, honestly, I think if Sony had it their way, they'd be like, year minimum. We want to use FF7 Rebirth to move more units. I feel like that's the Sony I know, but then again, like, maybe it's not Sony. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't care enough. Maybe they're like, hey, we're fine with 3 months. You're saying Square didn't confirm that FF7 is coming to PC. Yeah, but it says it's exclusive to the... Holy shit, do you think they're going to announce it for PS4? No way. I would... No, come on. Because they say in their marketing, it's exclusive to PS5 up until May. So, I mean, where else would it go? Like, is it going to go to Xbox? I don't think so. I think Sony would ensure that wouldn't happen, or at least pay whatever amount necessary to make that not happen. So JD Gamer, I appreciate that. And we have Wes Stewart with a $20 super chat. Wes, thank you so much for that, man. Really appreciate it. By the way, guys, we have over 640 people here watching. Please hit that like button for me. We're sitting at 400 likes. Can we get to 450? I think we can. I think we could do it. Wes, you're saying the subscription model can never replace game purchases for revenue. It can be a value add to us players, but will never be the preferred option for most people. Gaming is not the same as TV/movie streaming. Thank you, Wes. Thank you. Couldn't have said it any better myself. I think you're absolutely correct, where I think the biggest mistake that people make, not the business executives. I know why the business executives make this mistake. They do it because they want to appeal to the shareholders and maximize, or I guess I should say exploit anything that seems exploitable. But I think the biggest mistake that people make is when they hear stuff like that, like, oh, the Netflix of gaming and game streaming or services, right? Like sub-services, value. I think the biggest mistake they make is thinking that, like, it works, because even in TVs and movie, like, that's the thing. You're saying gaming is different. I agree wholeheartedly. Gaming is different from watching a movie or from watching TV. It is. Like, it's very different. I'm not at all engaged with gaming the same way I am when I'm just like sitting back and watching a show or a movie. Not at all. They have some similarities, of course, but I think people do gaming such a massive disservice by by just kind of not reducing it, because it's not that it's being reduced, because that makes it seem like I'm looking down on TV or movies or shows. I'm not. It's not that. It's just, I think it's just you're trying to. It's like apples and oranges. They're just too different, And to talk about them as if they are the same and should be treated the same and handled the same way, I think is doing both a disservice, frankly. And so I think the biggest mistake that people make is thinking that, first off, that these streaming models, like, I don't know if people realize, hopefully they do, like, look at Netflix, look at Amazon, like, people are complaining every day, every like couple of months, there's a new announcement of, we're putting ads now and you can add new packages. Do you want the sports package? Like, and on top of that, we're increasing the price. And it's just like, it's a whole fucking shit show nightmare where it's like, dude, I feel like I have no choice now. And this is what sucks, is like, I feel like I'm kind of strong armed where it's like, I want to watch some shows and some TV or some movies. And I have to now like wade through all these different fucking services, and they're always changing all the time, not only in the content that they have and they offer, and it's always moving from one place to another, but on top of all that, the prices, the different packages, you know what I mean? It's like, Jesus, this has become cable. It's the same thing, dude. It's the same model. It's almost the exact same model, and it's actually in some cases even more expensive now. And this is where it's like, people need to just accept that there has to be an exchanging of money that goes beyond, like, that it can be as simple or complicated as you want it to be, or as you allow these companies to make it. And in the case of video games, I prefer, let's keep it simple, guys. Let's just keep it as simple as we can, or at least make it so that this is the main way that people are engaged with it, where I want that new video game. Okay, that will be $70, please. Don't get me wrong, like, consume video games however you want, but I just don't see a flaw there. And people might say, well, what happens when, the marketing is bullshit and we get screwed over? Or it's like, yeah, it happens, yes. And that's when we just have to send a clear message that, like, if you do this with your game, we're not going to buy it. We're going to refund it. We're going to try to refund it. We're going to voice our issue with it. But, even that still seems to me, that still seems simpler than turning to developers and saying, hey, we know this is how you make your money, but I don't care because this company said that I don't have to care. And I get it. Like, for the more casual person, that does seem like the simplest way to go about it. But it's like, you're missing the most important part, that, like, somebody's going to get their fucking money from you. Somebody's ringing your pockets at some point. Whether that's now, 6 months from now, a year from now, it doesn't matter. Somebody's going to ring your pockets and get what they feel their shit is worth. That's it. That's how it goes. That's how it's always been. That's how it will always be. A good deal never lasts forever. A fair deal, however, can. All right. So, Wes, I appreciate that super chat, man. Good stuff. We also have JD Gamer again. Thank you for the $10 super chat, buddy. You're saying, do you think that whatever is happening on Thursday is because of the ABK deal? You think Xbox as a brand would have been better off buying smaller publishers or single studios to stave off corporate Microsoft? It's a great question. And it's not, I mean, I've touched upon this in my previous streams, but it's worth bringing up here, certainly. So it's a complicated one because we'll never know, but my gut tells me corporate Microsoft would have taken over eventually, no matter what. I think it's I don't want to say foolish, but it seems very unrealistic to me to think that Microsoft was just going to continue to let Xbox kind of just do your own thing. I think that the longer Xbox stuck around and the bigger gaming as a whole, because again, gaming is massive, the gaming industry is massive. I think that it was just always a matter of time until corporate Microsoft was like, what are we doing here, people? Okay? Like, we allowed this to be a side project long enough. We got to get involved. And I do think that the Activision Blizzard thing, I mean, look, I don't know who is responsible for that. Like, first and foremost, I assume it was Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer saw an opening. He was like, okay, I'm going to make some phone calls. But Phil Spencer doesn't get to make a decision like that without going through the rest of Microsoft. So as soon, again, I'm assuming it was Phil, as soon as Phil made the decision that we need to go for ABK, he was making the decision like, we now need corporate Microsoft to really get involved here, because this is way beyond anything he's ever done, but certainly anything that's been done in gaming, let alone the Xbox brand. So I don't think that that Microsoft or Xbox just kind of sticking with buying smaller devs here and there, I don't think that would have stopped Microsoft from getting involved. I think what it could have done, though, is ultimately, well, the more thought I put into it, I don't think there's anything that could have been done. You know, I'll be honest. The only thing that I think could have helped Microsoft is, I think that there were critical moments. Like if we look back, right? Again, if we trace the path, we backtrack, I think about 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, basically the second half of the Xbox One generation. I think the only real chance, but there are two chances. The first chance is in that moment, or during those moments, during those years, if Microsoft suddenly figured it out, they just started somehow, some way, putting out these games where it's like, we've been working on this stuff behind the scenes for a while, and now we're putting it out there exclusively on the Xbox, and then boom. But when you think, well, why didn't they do that? Well, because they didn't. They hardly had a first party. You know what I mean? So they definitely weren't going to have all these secret first party AAA bangers in development. So then the second opportunity, I think, came with the Xbox Series X and S. And I tried to tell people, like, Microsoft has a new console and they have a couple more new studios like Ninja Theory and Playground Games, but they still are going to suffer seemingly from the same problem, which is, where are the big hitter games? And I think it became kind of clear that, yeah, this is basically turning into a repeat of the Xbox One gen. And it's just hard to determine. Look, I think back to the interview with Phil Spencer when he was talking about Bethesda. And it was when the whole conversation was happening, like, what's going on with exclusives, right? And he said it'll be on a case-by-case basis. To me, that was the beginning of the end of Xbox as we knew it, because it's like they're now operating on a different level. And I think once the ABK deal happened, that was like the speeding up of that process. Like, I think as soon as they figured out we're going to own ZeniMax Media and Bethesda, I think that automatically inherently changed how Xbox was going to operate. But it really was as soon as the ABK deal was a possibility of like, okay, this is happening, I think that's when it's like, yeah, now it's full speed ahead. So it's a really interesting question. I don't think there's any reality where, well, maybe there's only one reality. Let me phrase that. There's only one reality where we sit here today, February 13th, 2024, where there's not a business update happening on Thursday, and Microsoft is seemingly getting ready to completely pivot their strategy once again to something that's maybe going to be very surprising or maybe not, depending on how you look at it. And that reality is the one in which Microsoft was able to produce very high quality, very desirable AAA games and sell them alongside their consoles. That's it. That's the only thing that could have saved the Xbox brand as we know it, or as we knew it, and it just didn't happen. And I think if you think about what's happening now, it's like people are trying to figure out, like, whose fault is this? Who's to blame? I don't know. I mean, it depends. We could blame Phil Spencer. We could blame Don Matrick. We could blame Sony for being too good at what they do. I don't know. I don't know who to blame exactly, but it's just very clear that is why Xbox is in the situation they're in. And I think that people have, of course, like, I'm an Xbox hater, right? And I know that that's how a lot of people perceive me, but there have been just so many years of me just saying, like, I want to see Xbox. I hate to put it in such simple terminology, but it really was just, I want to see them get good. That's like, I wanted to see, and that's why it drove me nuts when people would throw out shit like during the whole ABK thing, like, I thought you wanted competition. Like, this isn't what I fucking meant. Everybody knows that. That's not what I never said, Microsoft, go buy Activision. That's how you can get good. I never said that. Not once. I didn't even insinuate that. And that's why it drove me nuts, where it's like, if you guys think this is the equivalent of getting good, well, you're going to get what you deserve. Like, truth be told, like, you're good. If this is what you're rooting for, I'm sorry to say, like, you're rooting for something totally hollow. And I'm not saying it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. I'm not saying that it means you have to be against it. I'm just saying that you have to realize that. You have to realize you're cheering for, like, a fucking hollow shell of a brand at this point. For, like, compared to, like, why it was created in the first place and why very likely you're here cheering. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, if Sony announced tomorrow that they're gonna acquire, like, Ubisoft or some shit, I would be so fucking depressed, dude. I'd be like, oh, it's the beginning of the end of the PlayStation brand as we knew it. And that's just how it would be, man. That's it. A really good question. And I was sitting here thinking, like, man, have I been talking about Xbox too much? And the answer is yes. I've been talking about Xbox way too much, but I can't help it. If you determine that's because I'm a hater, okay, well, that's fine. But I am, I grew up with Xbox too, and I'm really curious to see, like, what happens on Thursday. Because, yeah, you're right, Laurent, I got to do my reps. Well, yeah, we'll do them momentarily. I'll wrap this up. I'm very, so, all right, here are my closing thoughts on this. Unless, I get another super chat or something. My closing thoughts are, and I'll take it back to the title here. Microsoft announces damage control. A business update with Phil Spencer this week. I no longer give a shit about the Xbox brand. Truthfully. Like, and I guess maybe to some people it's like, wow, I had no idea, MBG, and I get it. Like, but I just feel like I have to say that in a pretty much, like, in, like, a definitive manner, because what they are doing at this point is just, they're just going to become, I don't know, man. I feel like they're going to try to keep the corpse of the Xbox brand alive, knowing that the Xbox brand was created to be a console first and foremost and compete with Sony's PlayStation console. That's why it was created. And I feel like if they do keep going with the Xbox branding, I understand why they would if they make some serious changes, because it's like, well, okay, yeah, it's the branding. You can't just you leverage it, right? But to me, it's like, okay, this is over. Like, this is over, and you're just the third. I guess what? All right, let me just put it this way, because I'm having trouble getting my words out. I don't know why. How can a corpse be alive? You're right. Not keeping. Like a zombie, I guess. Right? It's like a fucking Xbox is a zombie at this point. Where it's like, how the fuck is this still alive? That good question, Irfan. What I'm trying to say is, the moment a Microsoft published and Microsoft funded game from their internal studio, any of their, I don't care who it is, that was not supposed to be on PlayStation 5. The moment that is announced, I view Microsoft as a third-party publisher. In the same way that I view EA, in the same way that I view Ubisoft, in the same way that I view Capcom, that's what Microsoft is to me at that point. Of course, I will pay attention if they're going to make a console, because guess what? Ubisoft and EA, they're not making consoles. I'll pay attention and I'll see what's going on there. But anytime in the future Microsoft acquires a studio, or again, and maybe in the future another publisher, I will just assume I will get those games at some point. And that's just how it is. Like that is a seismic shift for me, because I've never viewed Xbox that way. Like, I know Minecraft was on PlayStation, right? I know that some of the live service games that came with Bethesda, like Elder Scrolls Online, they're going to stay on PlayStation. I get all that. But this is totally different. Where it's like you're taking a game or multiple games that were never supposed to be available on PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation console, and they will be available. I'm sorry, Microsoft, but there's not a damn thing in the world you could do now to ever convince me personally, and I think I speak for a lot of people, to buy your console or to even give a shit about investing in your ecosystem. I'm already invested in the PlayStation ecosystem, and I'm fairly certain, while not 100% sure, but fairly certain that what you're about to do, Sony is not doing that. Nor is Nintendo, but mainly with Sony. And so that's it. I will just simply view Microsoft as a third-party publisher who brings their games to me in the hopes that I buy them. And I don't even know if I'm going to buy any of them. Maybe some of them I will at some point, but that's it, man. And when it comes to the whole Game Pass thing, it's like, well, that's still a non-factor for me. I guess there might, if they stick with their traditional Game Pass model that they have been, and that stays the same. Although I'm telling you, I do not think Call of Duty is coming to Game Pass. Not day one anyway. If they stick with that, I could see that being a selling point for some people who are already invested in that. Like, oh, I like having that, so I'm going to stay with that. And that's fine. But that was never a factor for me. So, to be honest, it will be hard to be. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I will no longer be able to be upset with Microsoft. Believe it or not. Like, I'll be upset in the fact that it's like, I can't believe it got to this point. But it's like, well, it's over, man. Like, there is minimal competition, if any, at this point. Or maybe there was already minimal competition. Now there's going to be almost none if you guys go third party. And so I'm, on one hand, I'm very much happy to know that, well, I'll have access to more games. And that's nice. But on the other hand, I'm also going to be thinking, what does this mean for Sony? And believe it or not, after this announcement apparently happens, of course, I'm going to talk about it a lot, just like everybody else will. But once it finally settles in and we move beyond that, my attention is going to really turn to Sony and be like, all right, Sony, now what? You know, like, we're going to start seeing some Xbox games revealed at the upcoming fucking PlayStation showcase or some shit. What's going on here? My attention will very quickly turn back to Sony because I will be, you know, I'll be interested to see how they do or do not respond. So anyway, New Soul 9 with another super chat saying, MBG, you blame the past Xbox leader for not truly establishing a foundation with the first Xbox and 360. Like PlayStation, it's not Phil's fault at all. Well, I can't. So I think the thing about Phil is that, like, Phil has to take blame no matter what. And I hope you understand that, New Soul. I don't make the rules. Like I said, that's how it is. He chose that position. Like, he was offered the opportunity to run Xbox in 2014 and then eventually make his way to the head of gaming for Microsoft. And he's been the head of gaming for Microsoft for like a couple years. So when he takes up that mantle as I am the head of gaming for Xbox, okay, nobody else matters. The buck stops with you now. When the axe falls, if it does, it falls on you now. So no matter what, again, I don't make the rules, New Soul. Phil's gonna have to shoulder this load and figure out what he's gonna do with it. That's his responsibility. He could quit. He could resign. That is an option. And he's not doing that. Instead, we're gonna get a podcast with him. So I understand exactly what you're saying, New Soul. You're saying there needed to be a foundation. I agree with that. I do. I think that somewhere along the way, somebody at Microsoft and Xbox should have realized that your foundation is not, it's not as solid as you think it is, and you need to fortify it, and you need to build upon that foundation. And I think the 360 era, believe it or not, is the generation where they should have done that, but they didn't. And I think they rested on their laurels too much, because one of the things I remember Xbox getting a lot of criticism for during the 360 era is that it started off really strong with like exclusives and first party games or whatever. And second party games, but like towards the end, it really dried up, and it was mainly about just pushing third parties. And I remember that as well. And I think that's what allowed Sony to kind of catch up in a way. And it's interesting because the way that Sony caught up to Microsoft in the 360 era is, think about what I said a moment ago. What did Microsoft not do? Microsoft didn't make high quality first party banger must have games that sold their console. They didn't do that in the Xbox One generation, and they certainly didn't do it this generation. When you think about how Sony made their comeback with the PS3, how did they do it? They did it in that exact way. They started to figure out, we got to start making banger exclusive games, like, consistently. We need to double up on this. And when they entered the PS4 generation, they greenlit a bunch of new shit. They said, yo, yeah, Gorilla, you make Horizon. Sony Bend, you make Days Gone. Right? Like, Sucker Punch, you make Ghost of Tsushima. And while Sony was in the midst of doing that shit, Microsoft was floundering and saying, we gotta fucking try to find anybody we can buy to save this shit. Yeah, the original Last of Us was a PS3 game, man. Like, to me, that was Sony, like, signaling, like, we fucking figured out how to win this thing. And, dude, if I was Microsoft looking at a game like The Last of Us, I would have been like, oh, we are fucked. Like, I'm not even kidding. I would have been, holy shit, dude. How do we compete against that? It's tough, man. It's tough. It's interesting, though. It's super interesting to kind of recount this stuff and look back and again, retrace the steps and see, you know, how it all went down. Anyway, with that being said, guys, I do have to get a couple of reps in to celebrate the fact, guys, we are at 51 members, okay? I want to thank you guys so much for continually showing your support here on the channel. We are doing a members lounge after this for a little while. So I hope if you are a channel member or if you were gifted a membership, I hope you will join us there. And as I'm doing my reps, if anybody wants to continue to contribute, if you want to drop any more gifts, feel free to do so. But we're sitting at 51. Really appreciate you guys bringing it home there. Let me see. Am I playing Helldivers in the members lounge? Not today. No. Not today. All right, let's go. What song should I play? What song should I play? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to do like some pretty strict reps here. Do your part, bro. PS Gamer says MGS theme. I mean, I could play the MGS theme. Corey says Rocky. Oh, that would be a good one. That'd be funny. I think that would get copyrighted, though. For sure. Josh Z says, MBG, I got to ask, as an Arnold fan, did you see a State Farm commercial during the Super Bowl? Hilarious. Yes. Yeah, I did. Neighbor. Yeah, dude, that was amazing. I was like that. I don't know. I was only so interested in the Super Bowl, truthfully. But then, like, once I saw that, I was like, this is it. Like, this is it right here. So, Josh, absolutely, man. That was an amazing commercial. I got to ask you guys, did you see the, I don't think they played the full commercial on the Super Bowl, but the Paramount Plus commercial. Holy shit, that one was wild. Yeah, the Arnold commercial was made for me, though. Yeah, the Duncan commercial with Ben Affleck was really fucking funny, too. I mean, honestly, like, half the reason I watch the Super Bowl, like, when there are teams that I'm not interested in, really, it is the commercials, so. All right, let me get my weights here. All right, I'm gonna try to go for 20 reps, 30-pound dumbbells of overhead press, shoulder press. All right, so let me grab them real quick. Oh, why was that so difficult? All right, and let me see. Which one? Is that playing? Here we go. That was painful. Fuck. Those were some slower reps too. Like I was trying to be really controlled with those. Holy shit. That hurts. That hurts. Not heavyweight, but oh. You know what's a little bit awkward too is I tend to want to lean back in my chair. But this chair is definitely not made for that. You know, like it's not a bench. So I have to kind of make sure I keep myself stabilized. You're saying bad form, bro. Go down and wait. How's my form bad? I mean, if my form looked bad, honestly, it was probably because I am used to having my back lean on the bench so it can stabilize me better. In that case, I probably do need to drop the weight to keep super strict form. Yes. But I felt that one, man. I will tell you. My shoulders are on fire right now. But there you go, 20 solid reps with the MGS team, of course. I would do it standing, but I don't know. Good shit, man. All right, let me put these down. I got to be careful too, because I did a brutal workout earlier, so I don't want to like overtrain, you know, or do too much too soon. Oh, excuse me. We're saying Helldivers at almost 160K CCU and above Apex new season. Crazy. That is crazy. That is good. Good shit, man. I'm really happy to see Helldivers doing well. It's a great game. You're probably right about that. You're saying standing would be better than the chair. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. I also like to stay in the chair though, because like you guys get a better look, like a closer look, I guess. I feel like sometimes when I go back there, I'm pretty far out. Do I have a squat rack? I do not. No, I don't really do weighted squats that often. Like I use my dumbbells, like I put them out to my side and I do squats, but I don't go heavy with squats or deadlifts. I've injured myself too many times. I'm not necessarily trying to go, I don't know. I do care about strength, but not that much. You know what I mean? Like I'm not strength training. But when I would do squats at the gym, you know, I'd probably go up to like 185, sometimes 200, 220. Probably doing like 3 sets, 5 sets of anywhere between 6 and 10 or something like that. But I do not power lift. Definitely not. I'm too prone to injury, unfortunately. My fragile little body can't take it. You saying you want to power lift, you're not in it from the bodybuilding aspect. Yeah, I do like I want to build muscle, but not like copious, ridiculous amounts of muscle. Not that I think there's anything wrong with that. I just don't want to have that much weight on my body. You're saying strength training is what most people do at first and realize they want to sculpt their body. Then body sculpting becomes an addiction. Yeah, I agree. Like, I do think that when it comes to fitness and, you know, bodybuilding and training your muscles and stuff, it can become way too much about how you look. And there's definitely, like, to me, it's always important to keep, you know, function. It's about functionality, you know, making sure that you do have strength. It's good to have strength, bone strength. All right, let me see. I got a couple more super chats here. Kipford comes in and says, stopping in to say F Xbox, have a good day. Well, Kipford, thanks for doing your part. Thanks for doing your part. We have Legion GG saying, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, hold on. I lost you here. FF7 Rebirth, Dragon's Dogma 2, Stellar Blade, Visions of Mana. We're eating good for 6 months. Can't wait to stream them on my Steam Deck OLED after a hard day of work. Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. We got we got a lot of great games to play. I mean, I'm going to be playing that game, Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. I think that's what it's called. Not a whole lot of conversation happening around this game, but it looks like a pretty solid single player, story driven. I think it's a AAA game. It looks pretty good. So I'm going to play that, see how I like it alongside Helldivers. And then obviously we got Final Fantasy Rebirth. But yeah, man, a lot of good stuff coming. You can't chew that. And then we have Chris Brown saying it was fun spreading democracy yesterday. MBG, good game. Yeah, good stuff, man. Shout out to anybody else. Hey, you got my cord. Shout out to anybody I was able to play with. Hold on. But with that being said, guys, I think this is where I'm going to bring this stream to an end. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up the members lounge. So if you are a channel member, I hope to see you there. We're going to hang out, have some interesting conversations, hopefully. And Low Cut says, PlayStation, keep your greasy fingers off of Halo. Guys, before you head out, though, do me a big favor. We're at 440 likes. You guys are crushing it. Let's continue to crush it. Can we get 450 likes? I think we could easily get 450 likes. But to everybody who's about to head out, please just hit that like button. It helps a lot. Sony's earnings are tomorrow. We'll get some numbers. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how Sony did over the holiday season. It'll be very interesting because they have some lofty goals, man, and I'm curious to see if they hit them or not. We have Jake Skew 27 coming in here at the very end. Jake Skew keeping the membership train rolling. Still going. Dropping a membership gift, bringing us up to 52 on the day. Jake, my friend, thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate it. I think that's 2 gifts from me today. So good stuff, dude. Good stuff. Yeah, I'll have to pay attention to the earnings because Sony is planning to like break a record. We'll see if we broke it. And as I'm saying that, Corey, the Legend Landiga coming in. He's like, yo, I'm doing some more heavy lifting today. I'm dropping another 10 bomb on you guys. Corey, dude, bro, I got to give you a massive shout out, man. You are an absolute fucking monster when it comes to doling out these membership gifts, man. So I really appreciate that, dude. Corey just brought us up to 62 members. 62 members like it's nothing. Absolute GOAT here. This is GOAT energy, Corey. Okay, boss. Boss, why are you doing this to me, man? What did I do to you? What did I do to you? All I've ever done is love you and feed you. He's like behind my monitor now. Hold on. Get out of there. You can't be back there, dude. Okay. Please don't disconnect my internet. Please don't disconnect my internet. Can you stop? Get down. All right, you guys ready? One last time. Let's see if we can do it. Get down. Get down. Come on, get down. All right. Still not happening. He still won't meow. Not for lack of trying. Not for lack of trying, but Corey, thank you so much, man. So it looks like we're going to be ending this stream with 62 members, which is awesome. And thank you guys so much for all of the super chat, all of the super chats. It really means a lot to me. As I always say, I'm only able to do this because of the support that you guys show me here, and it's awesome. It really is. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to get that members lounge set up. So look out for that. You should get a notification when I put it up. And to all of my channel members that are going to join me, I'll see you over there. I also want to make sure to give a shout out to Devil Shooter. He does the timestamps. If you see him in the chat or in the comments with the timestamps, make sure you give him a big thank you. I know he really appreciates that. And yeah, that does it, guys. Can't even... Boss, I'm going to end up just like tossing you over to the sofa, bro. With that being said, I am going to get a snack and then set up my members lounge, and I will catch you guys over there. Okay, so For anybody else who's not going to join me over there, I will catch you. Well, tomorrow I'll probably have a video out tomorrow, and then I'll catch you in the stream on Thursday. That'll be a very interesting stream. So until then, guys,